58 में 1958 में टेलीविजन शुरू हुई तिहाड़ से एक जेल की 1200 के आसपास रही थी, 1200 के आसपास, जो आज की तारीख में बढ़ के 16 जेल हो गई हैं। 3 कैंपस हैं, एक तिहाड़ में कैंपस जहाँ 9 जेल हैं, एक कैंपस रोहिणी में है जहाँ एक जेल है, और एक अच्छा नया कैंपस है जैसा ये बताया मंडोली में। 6 जेल मंडोली में, एक रोहिणी में और 9 तिहाड़ में। टोटल जो बिजनेस है आज की तारीख में 15,000 बिजनेस है, लगभग उसमें से 3,000 प्राइवेट्स हैं। इन बिजनेस को जैसा अभी मैडम का मैं सुन रहा था सेशन, एक बहुत अच्छी बात कही थी मैडम ने कि पूरा अपने शहर है, डिजाइन कॉम्प्लेक्स और सच में शहर है। 200 एकड़ में फैला हुआ तिहाड़ अपने आप में शहर लगता है, 70 एकड़ में फैला हुआ मंडोली अपने आप में शहर लगता है। और आप ये जरूर मानेंगे कि शहर में वो सारी सुविधाएं होनी चाहिए जो हमें बाहर शहर में मिलती है, जो ओपन शहर है हमारा, जिसमें हम एक बिजनेस के लिए उसका शहर वही है जहाँ वो कैद है। उस बिजनेस में हमें उसको सारी सुविधाएं देनी है, चाहे वो एजुकेशन की हो, चाहे वो मेंटल केयर की हो, चाहे वो लीगल एड की सुविधा हो, चाहे वो हेल्थ की सुविधा हो, एंटरटेनमेंट की सुविधा हो, फूड लॉजिंग और दूसरे केयर की सुविधा हो, वो सारी सुविधाएं हमें देनी। इन चीजों को ध्यान में रखते हुए जो हम डेली प्रेजेंस में अभी आज की तारीख में कर रहे हैं, मैडम ने जो शुरू किया तो उसको आगे ही ले जा रहे हैं और हर लिहाज से उसको पूरा करने की हमारा प्रयास, सतत प्रयास है। जैसे मेडिकल को ही मान लें तो तिहाड़ कॉम्प्लेक्स में बहुत बड़ा हमारा हॉस्पिटल है, जिसमें हम लोग 200 से 300 कैदियों को एक साथ रख सकते हैं। इसके अलावा मंडोली में भी हमारा एक अपना फुल प्लेस हॉस्पिटल आ रहा है। इन हॉस्पिटल के मार्फत हम उनको हर तरह की सुविधा देते हैं और जो सुविधा हमारे यहाँ नहीं है उनके लिए उनको बाहर भेजते हैं। सिमिलरली एजुकेशन में भी उनका एक राइट है उनको एजुकेशन मिलना। उनको आइडेंटिफाई किया जाता है जो कि इलिटरेट है, उनको आइडेंटिफाई किया जाता है जो थोड़ा बहुत पढ़ लिख आए हैं, 5वीं क्लास है, 7वीं 8वीं क्लास है, और जो 10th 12th करके आए हैं। तो अलग अलग सेगमेंट के लिए अलग अलग फैसिलिटीज हैं। जो बिल्कुल पढ़े हुए नहीं उनको पढ़ो पढ़ाओ स्कीम के तहत उनको एलिमेंट्री एजुकेशन दिया जाता है। जो मिडिल क्लास तक हैं उनको एमआईएस के सेंटर के मार्फत हम उनको एजुकेशन देते हैं, और जो उससे ज्यादा पढ़े हुए हैं उसको इग्नो का डिस्टेंस एजुकेशन के सेंटर्स से हमारे जेलों में खुले हुए उनके मार्फत देते हैं। मैं आपको बताऊं ऐसी स्टोरीज भी हैं इसमें, जिसमें हमारे यहाँ जो कैदी आया वो 10वीं पास था और हमारे यहाँ से पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन उसने किया, और वो इन्हीं सेंटर्स की प्रयास की वजह से ये संभव हुआ। शुरू में वो नहीं इन चीजों में जाना चाहते हैं, उनको हमें कन्विंस भी करना पड़ता है, आइडेंटिफाई भी करना पड़ता है। जिससे वो आते हैं तो उनका पूरा एजुकेशन बैकग्राउंड हम लेते हैं, फिर उनको अलग अलग सेगमेंट में डालते हैं और उनको उसी सेगमेंट के मुताबिक उनको रजिस्टर करते हैं और उनका फिर आगे पढ़ाई उसी तरीके से चालू रहती है। सिमिलरली योगा, मेडिटेशन, इसी क्लासेस करते हैं। अलग अलग एनजीओ हैं, लगभग 50 से ऊपर एनजीओ हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं जो योगा, मेडिटेशन, जैसे आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग फाउंडेशन है, ये लोग भी आते हैं सुबह 7 से 8, 8 से 9 जैसे जिनका टाइम फिक्स है, वो लोग आते हैं, उनको योगा प्राणायाम सिखाते हैं। बेसिकली इस तरह के कार्यक्रम जो सुबह सुबह शुरू होते हैं, इनमें आपको एक तरह की मानसिक शांति मिलती है, शरीर आपका ठीक रहता है, स्वस्थ रहता है, दिमाग में एक तरह के भाव नहीं आते। इसके अलावा जो उनको हम एक्टिविटीज दिन में कराते हैं, उसमें ये मेन उद्देश्य ये होता है कि वो बिजी रहें किसी न किसी तरीके से और उनका दिमाग इधर ना जाए। क्योंकि हम ये मानते हैं कि बहुत सारे कन्विक्ट्स ऐसे हैं जो कि इस बार मोमेंट में कोई क्राइम करके आ गए हैं, उसके बाद वो पछता रहे हैं। ऐसे बहुत सारे कैदी होते हैं अंदर, और उस केस में उनको आइडेंटिफाई करना है, उनको उनके अंदर में जो हुनर है उनको हमें निखारना है। जैसे मैं आपको एग्जांपल देता हूँ, ये एक कैदी था जो आईआईटी पास आउट था, आईआईटी ग्रेजुएट था खड़गपुर से। उसको बहुत सारी जानकारी थी इलेक्ट्रिकल इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स की। उसने हमारे यहाँ एलईडी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट पूरा सेट किया। पार्ट्स बाहर से आते हैं, हमारे यहाँ एलईडी हमारे यहाँ बनते हैं और बल्कि हमारा इन हाउस कंजम्पशन है उसमें पूरा यूज होता है। उसने क्या किया, कुछ शहरियों को और इकट्ठा किया, फिर हमारे ऊपर सहयोग रहा, जो सामान उसने बताया हमने बाहर से मंगवा के उसको दिया। शुरू में दिक्कतें भी आई, लेकिन अब हमारे पास 3-4 एलईडी के सेंटर्स हैं जिसमें एक सेंटर में 20-25 कैदी काम कर रहे हैं। और जैसा कि कुछ दिन पूछ रहे थे तो मैं आपको बताऊं कि जो इनको पगार मिलती है, जो इनको मशक्कत मिलती है, जो इनको लेबर मिलती है, वो पैसा इनके अकाउंट में जमा होता है। कुछ पोर्शन उसका बिजनेस वेलफेयर फंड में भी जाता है और बाकी पैसा उनके अकाउंट में जमा होता है जिसको वो यूज कर सकते हैं और जिस समय वो डिस्चार्ज होते हैं, रिलीज होते हैं, उसमें उनको पैसा मिलता है। तो ऐसा नहीं है, जो कमाते हैं, जो अर्न करते हैं, वो अपनी फैमिली को सपोर्ट भी कर सकते हैं और वो उनके अपने फायदे के लिए, अपने बेनिफिट के लिए। यहाँ का तो वोकेशनल कोर्सेज ट्रेनिंग का सवाल है। अभी कुछ दिन पहले ही अजय वर्मा जी को तो मालूम है, इन्होंने शुरुआत करवाई है आर्टिफिशियल जर्नल ट्रेनिंग कोर्स शुरू कराया। उसके बाद क्या हुआ, जो कोर्स है इसमें आर्टिफिशियल जो भी बना रहे हैं, बनाने के बाद इसको जब यहाँ से निकल के आते हैं तो बाहर वो इसी हुनर को यूज कर सकते हैं, इसी हुनर से वो अपनी आजीविका चला सकते हैं, इसी हुनर से वो कमा सकते हैं और अंदर जेल में रहते रहते उन्होंने नई चीज सीख ली। फिर बहुत केसेस में हम इस तरह से भी कर रहे हैं कि जो उन्होंने सीखा वो चीज हम लेके आते हैं, वो बनाते हैं और हमारे जो अपने आउटलेट्स हैं उनको सेल करते हैं। जैसे हमारा बेकरी प्रोडक्ट है बिहार बेकिंग स्कूल के नाम से एंड फैक्ट्रीज, ये हमारा एक सेटअप है जिसमें हमारे बहुत सारी फैक्ट्रीज हैं। ये सारी चीजें जो है रिफॉर्मेशन का ही पार्ट है। जो कैदी अंदर आया है वो अपने पास को हमेशा याद करता रहेगा, जितनी देर वो अंदर रहेगा उसके पास तो बहुत समय है, उस ड्यूरेशन में हम उसको बिजी रखते हैं और उस बिजी रखने में उसके अंदर में कोई ना कोई हुनर होता ही है। हर इंसान में एक हुनर होता है, हर आदमी अपने आप में स्पेशल एक हुनर होता है। उस हुनर को आइडेंटिफाई कर लेते हैं और उस हुनर से हम उनको ऐसी जगह लगा देते हैं जहाँ वो जो चार चीजें बनाते हैं उनको उसके पैसे मिलते हैं और जो चीजें वो बना रहे हैं हमारे इन हाउस में ही कंजम्पशन है, हमारा इतिहास शहर है उसी में कंज्यूम हो जाता है वो। जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल बिस्किट्स बना रहे हैं या कन्फेक्शनरी आइटम्स बना रहे हैं, इवन कंबल भी हमारे यहाँ बनते हैं, दरिया हमारे यहाँ बनती हैं, ये सारी फैक्ट्रीज हमारे यहाँ लगी हुई हैं। मस्टर्ड ऑयल हमारे यहाँ बनता है, एलईडी तो मैंने आपको बताया वो बनता है, कारपेट की यूनिट बहुत बड़ा है। ये सब रिफॉर्मेशन का ये एक पार्ट है। और जब वो बाहर जाते हैं, इवन पैरोल फर्लों में भी जाते हैं, तो ऐसे सुनने में आता है, जब मैं इनसे इंटरेक्ट करता हूँ, बात करता हूँ, तो सुनने में आता है कि जब वो जा रहे हैं तो या जिसने कारपेंटरी सीखा हुआ है वो बाहर जाकर अपना बड़ी का काम करता है, काम से उस समय भी कमा रहा है। और ऐसा नहीं कि सारे के सारे बेनिफिट्स जो हैं वो सब या सारे के सारे जो बिजनेस हैं वो तुरंत तैयार हो जाते हैं सीखने के लिए। मैं अभी एकदम रिसेंट एक किस्सा बताता हूँ आपको। एनएससीसी का एक कार्यक्रम है जिसमें पीएमकेवाई के सहयोग उसके मेला में वो स्किल डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम्स करते हैं और वो उनके ट्रेनिंग पार्टनर्स आते हैं, हमें अप्रोच करते हैं और हम उनको सबमिशन दे देते हैं। हमारे यहाँ भी सेटअप एस्टैब्लिश हुआ जिसमें लगभग 60-70 मशीनें हैं। उन मशीनों में बेसिकली एप्रिल डिजाइनिंग, एप्रिल प्रिंटिंग सिखाते हैं, उनके एडिट के डिजाइनर्स भी हैं, वो भी आते हैं और उनको समझाते हैं किस तरह से बनाना है। मैं आपको बताऊं, जिसको एक सीधी सिलाई बनानी नहीं आती थी वो पूरा का पूरा सूट बना रहा है, लेडीज सूट बना रहा है, एप्रन बना रहे हैं, बैग्स बना रहे हैं, पिलो कवर्स, कुशन कवर्स, ये सब बना के दिखा रहे हैं। और ये अपने आप नहीं हुआ, पहले वो जो कंपनी आई उनके लोग आए, उन्होंने कन्विंस किया, हमारे स्टूडेंट ने कन्विंस किया, फिर स्टूडेंट ने कन्विंस किया, फिर मुझे भी जाके कन्विंस करना पड़ा उनको और उसके बाद आवाज बताई तो खुश उन्होंने नई चीज सीखी। अब वो जब बाहर निकलेंगे कहीं भी अपना छोटा सा काम कर सकते हैं, वो एक सिलाई मशीन लेके बैठ जाएंगे तो उनको मजाक कर से जरूर मिलेंगे। सिमिलरली जो लोग एलईडी का काम सीखते जा रहे हैं उनको बाहर मिलेगा। मैं आपको बताऊं हमारे यहाँ कितने लोग ऐसे हैं जो योगा इंस्ट्रक्टर हैं, अभी हमारे ही जेल से बाहर निकल के गए हैं और अब एज इंस्ट्रक्टर भी हमारे यहाँ हैं। तो ये बेसिकली हमारे अपने ऊपर भी डिपेंड करता है कि हम किसी चीज के साथ कितना एसोसिएट हो रहे हैं। जेल में राउंड लेना, लोगों से जाके मिलना, उनसे बात करना, उनसे इंटरेक्ट करना, ये सब बहुत जरूरी है। और इस बीच में हमें इन चीजों का भी पता लगता है कि कौन प्रिजनर डिप्रेशन में है। उसके लिए अभी रिसेंटली हमने अप्रैल में प्रोग्राम लॉन्च किया नेशनल मेंटल हेल्थ फाउंडेशन के सहयोग से, जिसमें कि काउंसलर्स हमें मुहैया कराए जा रहे हैं कई जेल में जाने के लिए। वो उनके सहयोग से ये एक नया कार्यक्रम है जिससे हमें जो डिप्रेस्ड हैं वो आइडेंटिफाई करें। हमारा कुंफू पंद्रह साल में चल रहा है और ये एक सेकंड सपोर्ट सिस्टम है जिससे डिप्रेस्ड अगर बिजनेस है वो आइडेंटिफाई हो जाए तो उनको इमीडिएटली हम कहीं और लगाएं। इतनी चीजें हैं करने के लिए और इतना ऐसा लगता है कभी कभी बहुत कम समय है। इंफॉर्मेशन एक्टिविटीज में मैं आपको बताऊं, अभी जैसे कुछ दिन पहले हमने एक तिहाड़ ओलंपिक के नाम से हमारे यहाँ स्पोर्ट्स मीट होता है वो ऑर्गेनाइज किया। उसमें बेसिकली जो चीज निकल के आई मैं आपको बताऊं, कबड्डी चैंपियनशिप हमने करवाई। बेसिकली इंटर जेल चैंपियनशिप होती है जिसमें कि जो विनर होता है उसको प्राइज दिया जाता है। जो नेशनल लेवल का खिलाड़ी था वो आया, उसने ये स्टेटमेंट दिया कि आपके जो इनमेट्स हैं वो इतने ट्रेन हैं कि क्या नेशनल वाले खेलेंगे। और उसमें क्रिकेट है, फुटबॉल है, हर तरह के गेम है, वॉलीबॉल है, सब में उनको किसी न किसी तरीके से एंगेज करते हैं। तो मेरा बेसिकली कहने का मतलब ये है कि जो जरूरत की चीजें हैं लीगल एड है वो व्यवस्था अपनी जगह है, हमारे पास मेडिकल की व्यवस्था है, लेकिन रिफॉर्मेशन के लिए उनको अलग अलग तरह की एक्टिविटीज में इन्वॉल्व करना ही जरूरी है। चाहे वो वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम हो, चाहे वो स्किल डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम हो, चाहे वो ऐसा कोई एंगेजमेंट हो जिसको उनको मशक्कत मिले, जिसमें उनको लेवल मिले। मैं जो लोगों से बात करता हूँ तो मुझे एक चीज ये भी पता लगा, अभी जैसा मैं बता रहा था, बिहार में हबीब का नाम आपने सुना होगा, मैडम ने काफी मुझे इसमें सपोर्ट किया है, मोनिका जी ने। तो हबीब ने अपने सेंटर्स खोले और आपको मैं बताऊं जिन लोगों ने ट्रेन किया वो बाहर निकल के अपना कारोबार कर रहे हैं। हबीब के स्टाइलिस्ट हैं, जिन लोगों ने ट्रेन किया वो बाहर निकल के अपना काम कर रहे हैं। सिमिलरली जो हमारी वुमेन जेल है 6 नंबर जेल, उसमें फैशन डिजाइनिंग का जो अभी कोर्स चल रहा है वो कल एकेडमी के थ्रू चल रहा है। मुझे कहा जा रहा है कंप्लीट करो और खत्म करो, बहुत कुछ है कहने को क्योंकि बहुत कुछ कर भी रहे हैं और समय की पाबंदी है। धन्यवाद, थैंक यू सो मच।
I'm going to repeat what Sir has said because some of the participants have some language barrier and they do not understand. And I'm sorry, there is a lot is happening in Bihar, and 15 minutes would have been not enough for him because really many things, and especially what he narrated about. There was one person in illiterate entering in prison within 1 week from Pado and Padao, he is able to write his own name. Music rooms. Bihar has created a band, the music rooms, every jail has a music room. The other thing is, he talked about the sports, inter-prison championship on varying sports, which is really good, it is helping prisoners, and I personally seen it is motivating to those prisoners. And the another thing which is recently happened is, we had, Bihar had a very popular theatre artist in the prison, and he created theatres. He created, in fact, good artists inside the prison, and they were good plays. And Bihar also had a very good dance group. Recently, when we had an opportunity for the inauguration or certification ceremony for education jewelry, which Sir talked about. This is another program which Gems and Jewelry Skill Council of India, along with IUJ and Bihar Jail, is conducting trainings of more than 800 people in jail to make skill development, so that they will be able to earn their livelihood outside. And in fact, this program is post-release is going to support them also. The other thing is Sir will talk about the yoga. Yoga, in fact, they are creating instructor from jail. The person who was inside jail was trained as an instructor. When he goes out, he is still coming in jail to train these inmates, and they are also training other persons. So many other activities he talked, and in fact, legal aid. So let's talk the legal aid. There are hospital facilities In fact, my recent visit in Manipuri, I saw that there was a dental clinics, the camps were regularly being organized by the NGOs, and thanks to the Delhi Business Administration, they really open-heartedly they welcome all the NGOs, civil societies, and then you can see that Monika and other NGOs, IEJ, we all are working collectively together to eradicate the problem what they face. Legal aid also, and a couple of the persons will be having query. Iran is the only, I can say at the moment now, that besides legal service authorities lawyers, Iran is also welcoming the private lawyers as well as NGOs like IBJ to give legal aid and awareness to the users. And that is really changing, this is really helping the immigrants from the government. Now, may I request Haryana Singh to talk about something on your activities on that.
नमस्कार, मैं हरिंदर सिंह, जेल अधीक्षक टीम। बाकी मेरे सीनियर डीआईजी सर ने सारा कुछ बता दिया है, इसके अलावा कुछ कह नहीं। वही चीजें हैं जो ऑलमोस्ट सभी जिलों में हो रही हैं। लेकिन मेरा मानना ये है कि ये टॉपिक जो है प्रिजनर राइट्स पे है, तो इसमें मैं एक ही बात बोलना चाहूंगा कि हिंदुस्तान में सिर्फ एक ही जगह ऐसी है जो कि जेल है जहां पे उसके राइट्स जो है वो 100% वो अवेलेबल है। जेल के बाहर आप कहीं भी अपने राइट्स को जो है 100% अवेल नहीं कर सकते। ये मेरा एक्सपीरियंस, ये मेरा मानना है। बाकी मैं कुछ ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लूंगा, मैं एक दो चीजें बताऊंगा कि किसी साथी ने पूछा था, मैडम ने भी कहा था, एनजीओ जो है एनजीओ वो आते हैं, वो प्रिजन डिपार्टमेंट से या लाइसेंसिंग या किसी भी वजह से वो काम नहीं कर पाते। मेरा मानना यह है कि दिल्ली ही देश नहीं है और बहुत कुछ है, और मैं इनवाइट करता हूं कि जिन जेल में जो भी आना चाहेगा और हरियाणा की किसी भी जेल में उसको 100% वेलकम होगा, लेकिन काम के लिए और सेम डे उसको परमिशन दी जाएगी। बाकी अगर आप में से कुछ पूछना चाहे तो मैं उसके लिए मोस्ट वेलकम।
नहीं क्वेश्चन बात प्लीज बोल लेंगे उसके बाद फिर
I think if you want to discuss something which is come across during your tenure and something interesting you would like to share, then we really would.
हरियाणा प्रिजन की मैं एक विशेषता जो बताना चाहूंगा, एक सॉफ्टवेयर है जो ऑल ओवर इंडिया में हमारे जो प्रिजन से संबंधित है वो 4 सॉफ्टवेयर है जो हमें चैनल अप्रूव किया है, जिसमें ई प्रिजन, महाराष्ट्र का गोवा और महाराष्ट्र का एक जो है वो अलग से है, और एक टाटा ने बनाया है जो गुजरात गवर्नमेंट उसको यूज कर रही है, और जो हरियाणा प्रिजन जो यूज कर रही है उसका नाम फिनिक्स रखा गया है। और वो सॉफ्टवेयर जो है वो एक बंदी के द्वारा बनाया गया जिसको क्या मैं चैनल अप्रूव किया, और मेरा मानना ये है कि उससे बेस्ट सॉफ्टवेयर कोई भी नहीं होता। ये है, और उसकी वजह ये नहीं है कि मैं हरियाणा से उसके बैठा हूं बेस्ट है, क्योंकि उसको बनाने वाला जो था वो भी वही था, उसको लागू करवाने वाला भी वही था, उसको चलाने वाले भी। उसकी मेन वजह ये बस, बाकी एवरीथिंग जो नॉर्मल रूटीन में है, योगा है, एजुकेशन है, आर्ट्स है, ये सभी की सभी चल रहे हैं। मैं एक चीज और बताना चाहूंगा जो मुझे लगता है कि एज ए प्रिजन ऑफिसर ये एक ऐसी जॉब है जो मुझे लगता है कि आप टीचर का रोल भी प्ले कर रहे हो, आप गार्डियन का रोल भी प्ले कर रहे हो, आप इंजीनियर का रोल भी प्ले कर रहे हो, आप डॉक्टर का रोल भी प्ले कर रहे हो, आप इलेक्ट्रिशियन का रोल भी प्ले कर रहे हो, और एक प्लम्बर का रोल भी प्ले कर रहे हो, और एक फ्रेंड का रोल भी प्ले कर रहे हो। इतना ज्यादा मौका किसी भी डिपार्टमेंट में काम करने के लिए नहीं मिलता, क्योंकि किसी भी इंसान का जो बुरा वक्त आता है और उस टाइम जो मदद की जरूरत होती है वो उसको कभी नहीं मिलता, और मदद की जरूरत वाकई उस टाइम उसको सबसे ज्यादा होती है, और उस समय जो है हम उसके साथ खड़े होते हैं।
Everyone, I think I'll speak in a mixed language related to the audience from all over India. First of all, I'm thankful to the organizers and to this collaboration. I'm looking at more than 7 collaborators for this program. And this is a collaboration which should effectively work towards the implementation of prisoners' rights. That's the theme of this 3-day program. And the focus is on prisoners' rights. I've been asked to speak on the experience of prison officers. I had started working on my mind that I'm not a prison officer. But yes, I have observed the system very closely. I am, in a way, an outsider to the system, but also, in a way, I am an insider of the system as well. I have interacted, dealt with, seen the growth of change from the prison staff perspective and from the prison inmates perspective, as well as from the administrative perspective. And when we talk about the issues of prisoners' rights, and Dr. Gedi really dealt with it, hit the nail on the head when she talked about the responsibilities of the prison managers and the others, whether they are NGOs or society, and the prisoners' rights issues. And she's a wonderful motivator who can actually motivate the prison staff to work on the issue of prison rights, to go beyond that, and we heard the DG Bihar, and of course the Superintendent Harinder, who are actually, Harinder, I would say, is, since he is with the system from long, so my reflection of prisoners' rights issues, I've seen the process of change that has come about in the last more than 15-16 years. Prisoner के अधिकारों की जब हम बात करते हैं, prisons throughout the world always reflect the society they are in. And the status, if you're all from different states, the state of prison department varies from state to state. So Bihar would be a different, Haryana would be different, Maharashtra would have different issues, and Rajasthan would have different issues. Of course, there are certain commonalities that exist, certain common challenges that are there. But the human element remains the same. And at the end of the day, हम prisoner को कैसे view करते हैं? That is what makes the whole difference as such. Do we view the person as a human being? और ये prison तो last end of the chain है ना criminal justice system की. It's the last end. So what happens to the person in that whole process, right from the investigation on the process of arrest to the prosecution, the legal aid, the judiciary, and then the prison department. And the person may not totally battered into the prison because he's gone through that whole process. And the issue that is there, there are various issues as such, but one thing that remains is that what is the purpose of prison? Have we started looking at it? We've been talking about prisons as places of detention. And ideally we say now they're places of reformation. But has that purpose really changed? And you try to bring about structural changes. And structural changes, some of them have come about, and I always feel that it's easy to bring about physical changes. So you have new prisons coming up, you have Mandoli coming up, and you have new prisons being constructed. But that's easy to make. Difficult part is changing the system from within as such. And new prisons also have a peculiar problem in the sense that they may be located quite outside the city. Gurgaon prison is located quite outside the city. And people will have a problem, the families will have a problem in visiting the prisoners. When we talk about contact of the prisoner with his family, that's the most important aspect. For the prisoner, it's either freedom or contact with the family. That when we talk about mental health, is the most important facet of mental health to the identity of self. As a psychologist, I understand that it's the most important aspect. But when you have that distance growing, and I've actually seen riots taking place in some prisons because of this very aspect, the root crux of this. Because who is inside? It's the poor people who are inside. The rich will get everything. they'll get the best of lawyers and they'll be out. But it's the poor person whose family may not be able to afford a visit, who will be hit hardest by this long distance if the government does not support in terms of a public transport system which is flexible enough. So that's one thing when you're going about, and yesterday I tell you just the last session that okay, the solution to overcrowding is build more prisons. I do not agree with that. Building a prisons is not the solution because no matter how many prisons you make, they will be built up. Yes, we do need to strengthen infrastructure, but we also need to look at the front-end strategies. Everybody need not be inside the prison. We need to start thinking of alternatives. We need to think of community sentence as a strategy for dealing with minor offenders. So, I have visited prisons across the world and across India. The human problems remain the same. The resistance to change that is there is very strong in some, tapers off in a way, and most important is the will to change. I think that's when one success story that may be there, the most important aspect that comes is the will to change. And leadership is extremely important. So Bihar had a good opportunity and a privileged opportunity to have a very good leader who set a standard for the others to follow. Haryana had a good opportunity in having good leadership, which was proactive, which was positive. So positive attitude is extremely important because problems exist everywhere. But क्या mindset है हमारा उन problems को solve करने का, वो भी important हो जाता है. Dealing with numbers or dealing with human beings. And when we are dealing with human beings, understanding and compassion are extremely important. In a way, I feel that because the numbers of prisoners is 4,20,000 population that we have, it may not seem as a significant issue for the political setup because they don't have a right to vote. And we may keep talking about reforms, but at the end of the day, in 2010, way back 8 years back, I had framed a law, a new prison act, when we talk of structural changes for the state of Punjab, which spelled out a very progressive correctional philosophy and talked about reformation, rehabilitation, reintegration. And working with the government, you do realize that it will take time, be patient, but somehow, again in 2015, they approached the Chief Secretary, told me, ma'am, please revise it. We were not able to take up the new legislation. And I said, okay, I will take it up, provided you please don't delay it much, because there's some things for which you feel you get impatient with change. And they said yes. So, placed it before them, put it on the website, invited public comments, everything that was done. To the best of my ability, we did that with the feedback from the prison officers because they're very important. Whether in terms of building prisons, where they know what the root problems are, also in terms of prison inmates and prison staff. And sure enough, after some time, now this legislation now is going to be taken over by the central government, and for Haryana also it was done. And right now I think I'm no longer associated with it, but it is pending still with the MHA in terms of all the NHRC, which is hoping to take it forward, and I hope and wish that it does come forward because in a way it provides a framework. And once you have something spelled out in policy, then long will that come in terms of implementation. And one of the reasons is again, government may not want to spend money or may not want to be kind of more accountable than what it already is. A lot of prisoners' rights have come about because of judicial interventions. So this will be another opportunity for more interventions as such. And I was asked by a High Court judge that, why is not this one? I said, my responsibility was framing of the act. Implementation is not my responsibility. It's the responsibility of the political leadership and the state leadership as such. Classification of prisoners is again something on which there's a first aspect towards reformation and rehabilitation. So issues do come about in where a prisoner and how prisoners want to be classified. Under trials, conflicts, fine, but within them, the classifications that need to come about, whether alphabet system, I have my own questions about alphabet system of classification, but the barracks that prisoners get assigned to are important enough because that's the process time that a lot of harassment can happen to the prisoners because of this aspect. Medical facilities is another thing. I remember the first time I went to the all-women jail, there was no woman doctor. And it took a good 5 years actually to have a full-time doctor in an all-women jail in Punjab. So the matter was taken up with the State Human Rights Commission and then ultimately to the High Court so that the state authorities could be sensitized enough to have a woman doctor. But the situation in all of the country is that still women doctors may not be available in all the places where women are confined. So when you talk of health rights, there's a big question mark on that. As far as having counselors, psychologists, we all agree that they are essential, but not every state would have that. Another aspect, sometimes we talk about hygiene issues, and now everybody is talking about needs of women inmates. I remember the first time, again, it was issues that I was actually appalled to realize that my sanitary cars were not being supplied to women inmates was because there was no provision in the prison manual of the state of Punjab and followed by Haryana. That was one area where, again, it doesn't stop you from supplying, but some people cited this as a reason that it will involve expenditure, and since it's not there. So the matter was again, I have had a personal experience of filing a PIL with the High Court, saying some of the provisions that were there needed to be removed. And four reforms were set up in the state of both Punjab and Haryana. The recommendations were there, but I do not know how many recommendations ultimately ended up because being implemented, you do have a whole lot of recommendations. We have the Justice Mullah Committee, which has made about 600 recommendations, but how many actually get implemented are other questions as such. We also have, I will just say that yes, a lot of activities are going on, and 24 hours the person is inside. Spending constructive time is a very challenging task for the prison staff in particular, because if they don't keep them busy, then they are kept busy by them. So constructive management of time is something that varies with the initiative of the prison officers. And in terms of what we offer, correctional programs, educational programs, work programs, etc., interventions, collaborations are extremely essential, and Ravindra is right when he says that some prisons may be ideally situated in getting the best of people. Delhi is an ideal position, but every place is not that lucky or fortunate enough. So it's a challenge he has told me you all that yes, please work in other areas where you will actually get satisfaction. Yesterday I visited, I was trying to visit a prison. Yesterday I visited the Sonepat jail. We are also doing some research on the prison system. And when we talk about reform and rehabilitation, I think the ball is in the society's court. Because after release, 99% of the prisoners are going to be released back into society. 1% will die inside. But what does society do in terms of reclaiming them back, in terms of reintegrating them back? And I also came across, and that's my humble request would be here to the university authorities of Jindal Global University. I had two inmates who were students of this university. And whatever offense they may have done, but they do need a chance to get back into their education. They do need a chance to reform as such. Now, if they spend 4 years of their life in education and not got a degree, I told them, why don't you continue with your education? You always try and inspire a person. And they said, we don't have a degree as such. So even if you get a graduation degree, that will be good enough for us to pursue our course. Because I thought that if they've done 4 years and the 5th year, the last year is left, it will be easy for them, whatever time, to help the others also to use their legal skills. So this is an issue that does crop up, that prisoners may not have certificates, may not have Aadhaar cards, may not have mobile numbers. These are small things, but these are things which will come as an impediment towards their final reclaiming them back and rehabilitation. And aftercare, release and follow-up is something which is absolutely missing from our system. We do not know where and what the person ends up doing, and support places to stay, etc. are all grey areas as such. You may have, yes, NGO, Monica's there. I mean, you will have school and hostels for children of prisoners, but a number of children are still, women prisoners always complain about children who are outside, they do not have education, and it is extremely important the role of CWCs. So it's not just the prison, but a whole lot of other departments, education department, social welfare department, which is extremely important because right is, whole integration as such. So the integration of all the departments is extremely important. Time was limited. I tried to give you a brief about some aspects and issues, and of course I welcome the questions in the panel. Thank you.
What I will be discussing today is based on our academic work, our research, as well as our work with prisons and courts. So much of the discussion today is based on a 2-volume issue on prisoners' rights, which we had co-authored along with HRLN. And this is the 4th issue which came out last year. The links, the soft copies of both these volumes. I have volume 1 with me and volume 2 is a compendium of leading cases on prisoners' rights. Right, there's a link outside, but also an e-version of the books is available on the HRLN website. So please feel free to use that as a resource. It is precisely for the use of lawyers that we use this 273. That's Arnesh Kumar versus State of Bihar, 2014, 8 SEC 273, which is today one of the leading judgments on arrest. And here, the court reiterated the point that one, the police make a lot of unnecessary arrests. The court said that the attitude of the police is to arrest first and proceed with the rest later, and that is despicable in the words of the court. And the court said therefore that no arrest should be made only because the offence is not variable and cognizable, and therefore it is lawful for the police officer to do so. So no arrest should be made just because the police has the power to arrest. Again, reiterating the point made to Mr. Kumar that the existence of the power to arrest is one thing, and the justification for its exercise is quite another. So, this is the larger point the court was making. However, in the specific circumstances of the case, the court was looking at offences which have a maximum punishment of 7 years or less. Like I said, it was including section 41(1)(b). And the court said that an arrest for such offences can take place only when it is necessary to prevent the arrestee from reoffending, from committing another offence, from tampering with evidence or intimidating witnesses, for proper investigation, or for to secure the person's presence in trial. So if the person is at risk for absconding, that is when you can arrest. So what are the grounds? These are grounds actually mentioned in 41(1)(b), and the court reiterates that, says that the grounds for effecting an arrest for offences that are 7 years or less is that the person is at risk of reoffending, is a flight risk, is likely to tamper with witnesses or with tamper with evidence or intimidate witnesses, or the person's the arrest is required for proper investigation. Now, the police has to be satisfied based on material, not just on its own will and wishes, based on material before it, that these grounds are met. And when the person is produced before the magistrate on their first production, the magistrate has to scrutinize these reasons and be satisfied that there was reason to arrest this person. And if the police and the magistrate fail to do their duty, then, and this is what Anish Kumar says, then there should be departmental proceedings against the police and the magistrate. So, 41(1)(b) talks only about the duties of the police. Anish Kumar makes it an obligation on the magistrate to scrutinize everything that the police has done and satisfy himself or herself that the police has followed the letter of the law when it comes to section 41(1)(b). Now, just from our experience, Anish Kumar is being blatantly violated across the country. Definitely happening in Delhi. In Delhi, in fact, the arrest memo was the format for the arrest memo was changed to incorporate the Anish Kumar grounds, and it's just in the nature of a checklist, which is actually what Anish Kumar requires there to be reasons and not just a checklist. But at the very least, the arrest memo format was changed to reproduce these section 41(1)(b) grounds, which the police officer has to take. And we found in our work with the courts that one half the police stations don't even have the new form, so they continue to use the old form. And in fact, it's not just by police station. In the same cases, we've come across arrest memos for some accused which use the old form and for some accused which use the new form. But that in most cases, overwhelmingly all cases, even that checklist is not filled by the police. More to the point, that is not something that is being checked by magistrates at all. So even at the end of the judiciary, there's a complete disregard for Anish Kumar. Now the interesting question, there's a huge number of people in Tihar prisons who will be impacted by something like this, because for offences, Anish Kumar covers all offences that are for 7 years or less, and Mr. Sunil Gupta was letting us know, and we were, in this case that's ongoing, was also informing the court that there are roughly around 1,800 to 2,000 prisoners in Tihar alone, one central prison alone in Delhi, who might be eligible who might be impacted by Anish Kumar. So that's a huge number. Now the question that arises is, what is the implication of non-observance of the Anish Kumar guidelines? Now CRPC is silent on this. Anish Kumar says that there will be departmental proceeding against the police officer and maybe the magistrate. Now imagine you are a lawyer for a particular person, a client, for whom Anish Kumar has not been followed by the police. So the person is produced before the magistrate, and you are there present at that moment. You tell the magistrate, see, the police has not complied with Anish Kumar. What is it that the magistrate is required to do? There is actually a silence both in CRPC and in Anish Kumar about that. The question is, should the magistrate then release the person? Right? The arrest itself was therefore illegal is not necessarily the right term, but the arrest is unjustified, let's put it that way. So the person should be released as if the person had not been arrested at all. Should the person be released on bail? There's a difference between the two, right? If you're released on bail, means you're under the constructive custody of the court still. So should the person just be released on bail? Or should the magistrate then satisfy himself or herself independently of whether the Anish Kumar grounds are present or not, and then decide whether the person should continue in custody or not? That's an open question. What do you think it is that the magistrate should do? Release as if the arrest had not taken place at all. So put the person back into the same situation they would have been as if the arrest had not taken place at all. Release on bail or satisfy themselves independently. And why?
And this is not valid, like the procedure wasn't followed. So if at the beginning it was a time to proceed with that.
Right. So that's an argument. Yes. He said, yes.
I think the question is two categories. What is seen cannot be unseen by a court. That's first. So you have to satisfy yourself separately. Once it is not followed. What benefit you can basically get is the part of the investigation which takes place before producing the magistrate. Say 27 recovery, for instance. That can be appreciated. It's not only one benefit with the others, and it's not just the magistrate, but also at the time of judgment. Because I'm not getting the chance to cross-question the investigating officer. When I cross-question, and in many cases which I've seen, a faulty arrest procedure can even lead to an acquittal. Because there may be a 164, there may be a 160, leading to 27 recovery, and so on and so forth. Thus, I think the magistrate has to consider it afresh.
Right. So let's pause on the point you're making about what happens to any procedure that is taking place prior to arrest, particularly a 27 recovery, because that's something that will be dealt with later on. That's a very, very good point. Right now, this is actually an open question with respect to Adesh Kumar. Right? One reading of it is, and you could make that reading, that if the arrest itself was not following the provisions of section 41(1)(b), then the person should just be released. You could make the argument that once the person is before the court and the proceedings have begun, the court can release the person on bail. Maybe the court should make the effort to release the person on personal recognizance and nothing more, but then the court should keep the person in constructive custody through bail because of the principle that you said that once the person is before the court, the person is before the court regardless. That is an open question, and this is a point of contention that can be raised subsequently. In order to ensure, let us look at this as human rights lawyers. In order to ensure that the police follows the letter of the law and makes sure that there's compliance with Adesh Kumar, what is the standard that will be most beneficial? At that standard, I think it is the release standard, that you have to release the person, plus maybe in addition, that anything that comes before that arrest gets vitiated, anything that follows from that arrest gets vitiated, would probably be the highest human rights standard to ensure accountability of the police. This is an open question. This will probably get clarified subsequently in litigation, but remains an open question. The one thing is that the Supreme Court has held in this case called Raghuvansh Bhasin versus State of Maharashtra. This is 2012-9 SEC 791. Raghuvansh Bhasin versus State of Maharashtra, 2012-9 SEC 791. That if an arrest is made with malicious intent, now this is a broader principle, right? If an arrest is made with malicious intent, then the person may be entitled to compensation. So this is a larger principle. This is not just about non-compliance with Adesh Kumar. Non-compliance with Adesh Kumar, there is nothing to say that the person will be entitled to compensation. Again, maybe subsequently the court will go down that route. But as a general matter, if the arrest was not necessary, if it was made with malicious intent, then the person may be entitled to compensation. Okay. So these are about when a person should or should not be arrested. Now, once a person is arrested, let me just see if I have something else on arrests. Okay. So once a person is arrested, there are various Supreme Court decisions on the procedure to be followed to protect the rights of the arrest. Right? Now, probably the first case that we need to discuss in this regard is Sheila Barse versus State of Maharashtra. This is 1983 SEC 353. That's Sheila Barse versus State of Maharashtra, 1983 SEC Criminal 353. down certain guidelines with respect to protecting the rights of women arrestees, and also says that a person who is arrested has to be informed of the grounds of arrest, has to be informed of the right to bail, and has to be informed of the right to legal aid at the time of arrest. Right? So these are three important points. Informed of the grounds of arrest. This is not just Sheila Barse, of course, this is Article 22 Clause 1 as well. Has to be informed of the right to seek bail, either if it's a bailable offence, the right to bail, or the right to seek bail from court, and the right to legal aid. The most famous case, of course, on the procedure to be followed upon arrest is D.K. Basu versus State of West Bengal. This is D.K. Basu versus State of West Bengal, 1997 1 SEC 416. So that's 1997 1 SEC 416. Again, a range of procedural safeguards to ensure that the person, that the arrest takes place in a bona fide manner, and that once a person is arrested, their relatives are informed, their right to legal aid is protected, etc. I'm not going to go into the detailed guidelines that are available online. You can look up the citation itself or look up the Prisoners' Rights Manual. But that's D.K. Basu versus State of West Bengal. Now, this person has been arrested, maybe in compliance with Ardesh Kumar guidelines and in compliance with D.K. Basu guidelines, etc. Now the question comes of bail, right? So bail becomes consequently to arrest. Now, what's the constitutional philosophy regarding bail? The Supreme Court has recognized that bail is an essential criterion of fair process under Article 21. So the court has said, for example, this is in Gudikanti Narsimullu versus State of Andhra Pradesh. I'll just give you the citation, it'll be easier for you. 1978 1 SEC 240. 1978 1 SEC 240. That's Gudikanti Narsimullu versus State of Andhra Pradesh. That when a person is given, is refused bail, their personal liberty is impacted, and that means Article 21 comes into play. And therefore, the judicial power with respect to bail has to be very, very cautiously exercised. That a refusal to grant bail brings the matter within the purview of Article 21. And therefore, to be in compliance with Article 21, judicial power has to be very, very carefully exercised, not casually but judicially, with lively concern for the cost to the individual and the community. Right? Similarly, the Supreme Court reiterated this. I'm giving you a list of judgments. These are making similar points, but if you want to, in drafting of a petition, refer to multiple judgments to reiterate the point, these might be useful. So, Babu Singh versus State of UP is another important constitutional, an important case that places bail within the constitutional framework. Babu Singh versus State of UP, that's 1978, 1 SEC 579. 1978, 1 SEC 579. And similarly, Supreme Court Legal Aid Committee versus Union of India. That's Supreme Court Legal Aid Committee versus Union of India. 1994, 6 SEC 731. 94, 6 SEC 731. Now, in this case specifically, the court said that the deprivation of personal liberty without ensuring speedy trial would not be in consonance with Article 21, and says that some amount of deprivation of personal liberty might not be avoidable. But if the period of deprivation pending trial becomes unduly long, the fairness assured by Article 21 would receive a jolt. So the court is not expressly saying that this would be directly in violation of Article 21, but it's a useful case when you have someone who's been under trial for a long period of time without being granted bail to use a case like Supreme Court Legal Aid Committee versus Union of India. So that's the broad constitutional approach. And the Supreme Court has crystallized this in this pithy observation that bail not jail is the mantra of the constitution, and this phrase comes from State of Rajasthan versus Balchand. State of Rajasthan versus Balchand, 1977, 4 SCC 308. So that's State of Rajasthan versus Balchand, 1977, 4 SCC 308. And this broader constitutional philosophy is reiterated in, perhaps in many ways, one of the most important bail decisions, again locating bail within a constitutional framework, which is Moti Ram versus State of Madhya Pradesh. So that's Moti Ram versus State of Madhya Pradesh, 1978, 4 SCC 47. 1978, 4 SCC 47. Again, giving you broad constitutional, locating bail within a broad constitutional framework. Now, the concern, the broad concerns highlighted in by the Supreme Court with respect to bail is this, and the constitutional concern with bail is this. Bail is by its very nature an anti-poor measure. Why? Because as the Supreme Court held in Senara Khatun, this is our approach to bail is a very property-oriented approach, right? So, how do you, when you're looking at bail, you're looking for a money bond or you're looking for sureties which can provide some kind of a monetary assurance, some kind of a property-based assurance that this person is not going to flee. This is by and large the approach with respect to bail. And because it is a property-oriented approach, it ends up having a disparate impact on the poor. So, this is something that the court has held, like I said, in Senara Khatun, but also reiterated it in Moti Ram. So, in Senara Khatun, and I'm talking about Senara Khatun versus State of Bihar. This is 1979, AIR 1979 SC 1360. AIR 1979 SC 1360. The court says that our bail system suffers from a property-oriented approach. It proceeds on the erroneous assumption that the risk of monetary loss is the only deterrent against fleeing from justice. Right? That if you give a sufficient monetary monetary surety, you will not flee because you will fear that you will suffer a monetary loss, and that this is the only and in many cases sufficient assumption for sufficient deterrent against fleeing from justice. And the court said that this is a very antiquated approach. That there are many other ways of ensuring that securing the person's presence during trial, and this property-oriented approach operates as an anti-poor measure. Now, this is, like I said, something that the Supreme Court reiterates in Moti Ram. The Supreme Court also in Moti Ram then makes the provides certain other very, very important observations that we found are routinely violated. The Supreme Court says, for example, that you cannot insist on local sureties. What is local sureties? This is a practice across the country to say that you have to provide a surety that resides within the jurisdiction of the court. And this operates very, very harshly upon migrants, right? Upon people. This is something that we found not only in big cities, but particularly in rural areas where you have, highways running through rural areas, and if there is any offence, say, committed by, or an allegation of an offence committed by someone who's driving a truck across from Punjab to somewhere in near Chennai, and commits an offence in Tamil Nadu, and there's a requirement, say, of local surety. There's very little that the person can do to satisfy that condition. So that's something that the court expressly said cannot be insisted upon, but it is flouted with impunity across the board. So if there is a condition of local surety which a person cannot satisfy, Moti Ram is the go-to case. There's also a very interesting recent case from the Madras High Court. It's called Sagyam versus State. That's Sagyam, Sagyam versus State. This is 2017 3 MLJ criminal 134. That's 2017 3 MLJ criminal 134. Now the practice, we haven't observed this in Delhi, but maybe one of you can tell us if this is the case here as well. But in Madras, there were various other conditions that were being imposed. For example, that a surety for bail had to be a blood relative, or had to be a government officer, had to be a gazetted officer, etc., etc. So not just insisting on local surety, but insisting on certain people to be that surety, or that a person cannot be surety for more than one person. So in this case, the Madras High Court gave very important directions, saying one, that these kinds of conditions are all unconstitutional, that the only thing that the court has to do is to satisfy itself as to the genuineness of the surety and the ability of the surety to guarantee the presence of the accused through the monetary surety. But that is all. That the court cannot insist on all of these conditions. Now, the Sagyam versus State was noticed with approval by the Delhi High Court in Ajay Varma's case in an order dated December 15. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Also, an important point that Moti Ram is known for, it's more or less now settled law, so we don't very often, but the idea that wherever the CRPC mentions the word bail, it means bail with or without surety. Right. We then move to what are the eligibility criteria for bail, who can be given bail, and there is again a plethora of judgments by the Supreme Court on this. The broad point is that the purpose of granting bail is to secure the presence of the accused and to prevent them from reoffending or from tampering with evidence or intimidating witnesses. This is the point mentioned by the Supreme Court in Balchand. And I'm not going to go through the list of cases again, please just refer to the manual. But the overall criteria that the court then has stated are these: the severity of the offence and punishment, the likelihood of the conviction based on the nature and strength of evidence, the likelihood of the person absconding, the likelihood of the accused tampering with evidence or intimidating victims and witnesses, the likelihood of the person committing offences while on bail, the protracted nature of the trial, the loss of opportunity, and this is very important because it's on the other side, the loss of opportunity to the accused for preparing his defence and in accessing his counsel, circumstances of the accused such as health, age and sex, and the larger interests of the public and the state. Now this last bit is very controversial, I would say, because the court has in recent cases been saying that in granting or not granting bail, one of the considerations should be general public interest, general societal interest. And these are mostly cases, relating to economic offences, where you have someone accused of committing a huge financial scam, and the court says that we will not give you bail, not because of any of the other criteria of the likelihood of you fleeing, etc., but because it is against public interest. Now there is a question about whether that is something that is a welcome development or not. Because if this kind of an amorphous criteria of public interest seeps in, it seems as if what the court is doing is making bail a punitive process, right? Rather than, so under trial incarceration a punitive process, rather than thinking of the only necessity for under trial incarceration is to ensure that the person is available for trial. So this is a problematic development. Unfortunately, the Law Commission in its report on bail has reiterated this point that there should be some exception based either on public interest or certain kinds of offences like economic offences should not grant bail as easily. So that's a problematic development. there are a list of cases, again you find them in the manuals, like R.D. Upadhyay, where the court has given these one-off directions. When it's found that there was a large-scale under-trial problem and has given a set of one-off directions to be complied with in that case, that unfortunately been the nature of interventions that the Supreme Court has made, where it has given many of these one-off directions which might get complied with in that one individual case, but subsequently don't really change the system. Again, you'll find those details in the manual. Right. My time is nearly up, so I can take some. Right. Okay. So then I'll just very quickly say that securing the bail order is only half the battle, right? Beyond that is the more important concern of follow-up. Now, we are finding, and this is true for all across the country, that many people who secure bail continue to languish in jail, either because they do not have appropriate legal aid or they cannot satisfy the conditions of bail. So, I'm sure you've discussed this before, but in Ajay Verma's case, the Delhi High Court has given a set of very detailed instructions on maintaining a register, the court maintaining a register of all the cases where there is, where bail has been granted, and monitoring and making sure that the person either is released on bail or scrutinizing again the conditions of the bail conditions to see if those are excessive. This is the March 8th order of the Delhi High Court that you might want to look at. Now, in the context of bail, one of the provisions that has recently been introduced and takes up a lot of space in discussions around bail is 436A CRPC. Now, 436A CRPC, as we know, basically says that if a person is in prison for more than half of their term of imprisonment as an under trial, the person is eligible for bail, right? It's not automatic, right? The person is eligible for bail. And the Supreme Court passed a set of directions in the case of Bhim Singh. Let me just give you the citation for Bhim Singh. Right, Bhim Singh versus Union of India, that's 2015, 13, SEC 603, 2015, 13, SEC 603, Bhim Singh versus Union of India, gave a series of orders. I'm actually not sure that the citation is correct because Bhim Singh was not in 2015, it was prior to that. You might have to check the citation, please. Bhim Singh versus Union of India, saying that giving a set of directions for the implementation of 436A. However, again, this was a one-off measure. This was a direction primarily intended to look at all the people who were eligible under 436A at that moment in time. But also keep in mind that 436A, there's a lot of energy right now around 436A, and 436A is not a solution to our bail problems. It's a symptom of how bad the problem is that we have 436A, which says that when the person has been in prison for half or more of their imprisonment, this has really very little benefit for everyone who's in for, say, murder, or any offence which has a death penalty or life imprisonment, or something like under the NDPS, particularly for commercial quantities where the minimum imprisonment can go up to, where the maximum imprisonment can go up to 20 years. So 436A, while very important, and people who are eligible under 436A are really facing the brunt of the problems in the system. 436A is not the panacea for our bail solutions. So there's some amount of disproportionate amount of energy that goes into even the court's reckoning of saying, oh, let's implement 436A, and that shows that we're doing something about
this is just the reproduction of Usanara Khatun judgment.
Exactly. Usanara Khatun and the Supreme Court Legal Aid Committee,
which already exists in the area.
Exactly. So which is why we should be cautious. 436A is very important. It's a tool, but let's not fetishize 436A. In fact, the Law Commission in its 273rd report has said that we should move from half to 1/3. And my basic point is we should move to a system where not even a single day of incarceration is there unless it is absolutely required. Now, one issue with 436A is The 436A, like I said, basically says that you should that a person is eligible under 436A if they have been in prison for half or more of their maximum possible sentence. Now, the question is, how do you calculate that half? If you have multiple offences, do you calculate it on the maximum punishment for the most serious offence, or do you take it for the maximum punishment for the least serious offence? Now, the Supreme Court has said in re inhuman conditions. Again, I'm sure this has been discussed. So I'm not going to go into the judgment itself, but in re inhuman conditions in 1382 prisons, Supreme Court has said two things. One, that at every district there has to be the establishment of an under trial review committee, which consists of the district judge, the district magistrate, the SP, and the jail superintendent. Now, more recently added the jail superintendent to that. So there's a under trial review committee in every district, and they will review all cases for compliance with various things, but including 436A, and they should consider a case for review the moment you reach half the sentence for the lesser offence. Because the idea is that, again, going by the idea that you don't have to wait till the person actually completes half the maximum possible sentence to consider their case for review. You may or you may not grant them bail. 436A, like I said, does not entitle you to, does not make bail an indefeasible right. So you still have to be considered for bail. But that consideration for bail has to happen by the UTRC at the once the half the imprisonment for the lesser offence has been completed. Okay. Now I'll very quickly touch upon a few issues relating to legal aid. Now we know that our constitutional framing of legal aid comes from Article 21. Article 21 fair trial process, Article 22 which entitles one to be represented by a counsel of their choice, and Article 39A which is a directive principle but mandates the state to secure access to free legal aid. Broadly, the constitutional framework comes from cases like NH Hosport, that's 1978, 3 SEC 544. 1978, 3 SEC 544, and then Husainara Khatun and Khatri, that's Husainara Khatun, this is 1981 SEC 98, Husainara Khatun, that's 1981 SEC 98, and Khatri, which is Khatri versus State of Bihar, which is 1981 1 SEC 627, 1981 1 SEC 627. And basically, in these cases, the court reiterates the point that an indigent person has the right to free legal aid as an aspect of fair trial under Article 21, and that not providing such legal aid violates Article 21. In Sukdas versus Arunachal Pradesh, the court makes the point that this is a right that operates automatically, that it is not a right life first. So you don't have to apply for legal aid. The court has to affirmatively ask whether you have legal aid or not, or the police has to affirmatively ask whether you have legal aid or not, and provide you legal aid. That's Sukdas versus Arunachal Pradesh. That is 86 to SEC 401. 86 to SEC 401 Sukdas. Now, then an important question that comes with respect to legal aid is at what stage does the right kick in? Does it kick in at the right for the court? Does it kick in at the right of first production, or does it kick in at once the trial begins? Now we know there are lots of cases where a person is not provided legal aid up until the trial starts. And as you were mentioning right at the beginning, there are lots of processes that take place. That's fine. There are lots of processes that take place prior to the trial beginning. So, for example, recovery, confession, recovery, all of those aspects take place prior to the trial beginning. So, what happens if you don't have legal aid during that process? Now, on the question of the stage at which legal aid kicks in, the Supreme Court has been very categorical in Ajmal Kasab versus
State of Maharashtra, that the trial, and this is Ajmal Kasab versus State of Maharashtra, is 2012-9 SEC 1. That's 2012-9 SEC 1. That legal aid kicks in right from the moment of first production. So the right to legal aid kicks in right at that moment. That therefore the court that you have to be provided legal aid at that point. However, if a person is not provided legal aid pre-trial, that does not vitiate the trial. It is only after the trial has begun, if the person does not have legal aid, then the trial is vitiated. This is the stand of the court in Ajmal Kasab. It's a problematic stand, but the court's assumption here is, and you will see why I say it is problematic. The court says that the role of the lawyer is negligible pre-trial. Now, as any practicing lawyer knows, that's not the case. That you build the case pre-trial for what happens post-trial. The court says that you have the right to free legal aid, but if you are not provided legal aid, that does not vitiate the trial. It is only post-trial that the right gets vitiated. So then the question came in, what happens to a confession that is made to a magistrate when the person did not have legal aid? And this is again happening pre-trial, and the court says that that such confession will be admissible. This is, as you know, this is what happened in Kasab. The court said that such admission will be admissible. Now, actually, remember in Navjot Sandhu, that's a parliament attack case, the court had said that if there's a confession without benefit of counsel because there was no legal aid provided, then that confession will not be admissible. But that was because there was a specific provision on this point in Kota that was not present in Kasab's case. And here the court said this was not under Kota, this was under the general law, and the court said that such a confession will be admissible. Now, like I said, that the court's assumption in Kasab is that the only reason why you need a lawyer is to move your in a pre-trial setting, is to move your bail applications, etc. It is not so that you can, in the words of the court, scare away your client from confessing to a crime. And so therefore, if you don't have a lawyer but you want to make a confession, if you don't have access to a lawyer because you don't have legal aid, then that's not a problem. This is the stance of the court in Kasab. My last point, which I'm going to touch upon very briefly, is about the quality of aid. Right? Is there a right to effective legal assistance under Indian law? The Supreme Court has recognized in Kishore Chand versus State of Himachal Pradesh. This is 91-1 SEC 286. 91-1 SEC 286. That you need to have an effective lawyer. That particularly for serious offences, you need an experienced lawyer, because if you don't have access to an experienced lawyer, when on the other side you have an experienced public prosecutor, then there will be an unequal defence. Right? So that's the broad principle that the court has recognized. However, when it has come to actually implementing that, the Supreme Court has stepped back. So this was an argument that was made before the court in the Parliament attack case, where the argument was that the person that Afzal Guru did not have access to effective legal aid at the trial court stage, and the court rejected the contention, the argument itself, on the ground that you cannot stretch the right to legal aid and legal representation that far. So there is that decision. However, when there has been a complete failure of the defense counsel to appear at all. So, for example, in Muhammad Hussain versus State, which is 2012 to SEC 584, 2012 to SEC 584. Here, the defense counsel just did not appear, and so all the crucial witnesses went without cross-examination. The Supreme Court sent the matter back for retrial on the ground that no effective assistance was provided. Similarly, in Surinder Kohli's case, Surinder Kohli versus State of UP, this was actually, there was a review petition filed on the ground that there was no effective assistance of counsel. And while the Supreme Court rejected the review petition on the ground that there was delay in filing the review petition, not on merits but on the ground of delay, the court reiterated the point that the obligation is not just to provide legal aid, but to provide experienced lawyers, and that is the requirement of the right to legal representation and right to free legal aid. So that's again something to build upon. This jurisprudence is at a nascent stage. We've had one-off cases where the court has said that yes, there was ineffective assistance of counsel, not using that many words. But the general principle still comes from Parliament Act, where the court said that we are going too far in saying that the right to legal representation and to free legal aid includes the right to effective assistance of counsel. There's actually a lot of jurisprudence developed elsewhere in the world where they have given effect to this broader principle of right to effective legal assistance, and that's something that can be looked at. I'm going to stop here. And now it's going to look at the interplay between legal aid, investigation, interrogation, the question relating to recoveries and torture, etc., and move on from there. And then we can open up the floor for questions at the end. Thank you.
So I touch upon three broad issues. One is to look at the question of interrogation, second is to look at torture, and third is to look at the question of prison facilities. And I'll also touch upon some of the work that we've been doing, continuing from what I mentioned with respect to prisons. So, like what I already mentioned, the constitutional interface of what of some of the questions that we discussed starts from Articles 20, 21, and 22 of the Constitution. And importantly, Article 20 clause 3, which recognizes the right against self-incrimination. The question that arises is the application of Article 20 clause 3 in this area of investigation, especially in the context of interrogation. The case on this point is the famous case of Gandhi Sansari vs. C.L. Gandhi, which is 1978, volume 2 SEC, page number 424. 1978, volume 2 SEC, page number 424. Where Supreme Court held that the right against self-incrimination guaranteed by Article 20 clause 3 applies in the investigative stage as well. The court said that being a witness, the notes not only being a witness in court, but also giving any information or evidence to the police or to the court in the pre-trial stage, which has the tendency of incriminating person concerned. It is important to note that although Gandhi Sansari very clearly says that all of these rights apply in the pre-trial stage, the problem in terms of the Supreme Court's jurisprudence arises when they look at questions of right to counsel. Because with Gandhi Sansari clearly stating this, the problem that comes up in a case like Kasab is that when you say 20 clause 3 applies to the pre-trial stage, should you not have a counsel at the pre-trial stage? And the Supreme Court has tried to wriggle out actually of the situation, saying that Gandhi was going to of other judgments which were delivered earlier, but that's not correct. Gandhi actually cites all those judgments. So the law in Gandhi which was subsequently upheld by the Supreme Court itself in Selvi vs. State of Karnataka, which is 2010, volume 7, SEC 263. And get back to Selvi once again, 2010, volume 7, 263. Very clearly says that all of these, the Article 20 clause 3 applies to the pre-trial stage, that includes, of course, the investigation stage as well. So all of these bundle of rights that are already there in terms of the pre-trial and pre-investigative processes apply completely before the formal charge sheet is filed. The other question in that is was what do you mean by the term compelled testimony? And as this Krishna is using his own language, which is very difficult to understand, but actually clearly applies in the context like narco-analysis, which was there in the US, for instance, at that time, but not in India, says that compelled testimony, and I'm quoting him, is evidence procured not merely by physical threats of violence, but also by psychic torture, atmospheric pressure, environmental coercion, carrying interrogative publicity, overbearing and intimidatory methods, and the like. Right? So therefore, all of these terms, which in the context of that particular case was difficult to understand, actually makes sense when you look at things like narco-analysis, where the person really is not in touch with what is happening around him or her when the sodium glycol is injected into that person. So therefore, importantly, in this report that the right to counsel also applies in the investigative stage as well, because of these important factors with respect to the right hearing that have been noticed. Then you have the case of Director of Enforcement versus Deepak Mahachal, which is 1994 volume 3 SEC page number 440. That's 1994 volume 3 SEC page number 440, where the Supreme Court held that a formal accusation, which includes the filing of a FIR, is sufficient to bring a person within the ambit of Article 20 Clause 3. So you don't need anything beyond an FIR to bring the case within the ambit of Article 20 Clause 3. Then is the case of Selvi, which I already mentioned, 2010 volume 7 SEC page number 263. Now the question is, Selvi went into the issue of reliable versus unreliable evidence as well, and a major factor that the Supreme Court takes into consideration while holding that the narco-analysis test is unconstitutional is the unreliability of the evidence. The court says that by injecting the chemical into a person, getting that person into a semi-conscious state, and then getting him or her to make statements, those statements might not be completely reliable. And since that statement is not reliable, you can hold that to be unconstitutional. There is also jurisprudence, not really jurisprudence, anecdotal evidence from the United States in the context of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the number 2 of Al Qaeda, who was in the custody of the US and he was in Guantanamo Bay, and they tortured him, used all sorts of torture techniques on Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and they revealed supposed Al Qaeda plots for the extended period of time. And the US was very happy and said, look, this means that all these torture methods actually work. Ultimately, when Osama bin Laden was killed and they found all that evidence about terror plots, there was nothing that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed had said which actually reflected what Al Qaeda was doing in that period of time. So, showed that everything that he said was all false. Right? Because he had been tortured to an extent and he said all sorts of things which made his interrogators happy, but absolutely everything was not true. Right? So therefore, the Supreme Court takes this sort of approach in Selvi, saying that evidence is absolutely unreliable in these situations, and so therefore it should not be used. Now again, whether we should look at unreliability of evidence in terms of protection of rights, or if the question of injecting a chemical substance into a person's body and saying, using this sort of jump science to say that we get evidence out of this person is that questionable. Now again, if you remember, this is that period when narco-analysis became the go-to for the investigating officers. They use narco before doing any sort of investigation, and whatever evidence comes from that narco, and that's what we will use going forward. Most of the cases investigated at that time, be it terror, be it the RBC Talwar case, where one after the other is just narco and narco and narco. Right? Be it the Surendra Kohli situation where it was narco, right? And using these methods, and when that led to an end, you couldn't get anything out of it. So all those cases remain unsolved, right? Because the fact that this was absolutely useless so-called scientific techniques being used. So the question of section 27 came into effect here in Selvi. So if after administering narco-analysis, you make a discovery under section 27, will that be admissible as evidence? So if you say that you give someone sodium pentothal and mixture of chemicals, from that you make a discovery under section 27, would that discovery be admissible? So if you consider narco as torture, would a discovery from violation of a particular person's Article 21 rights, which is what the Supreme Court said it is the violation of Article 21 rights, would that be admissible as evidence? What do you think?
It is not.
It is not?
It is.
Sorry, who's
I said it is not
can you
because.
put up your hand? I can't see.
Section 8 of the Constitution.
Yeah.
Sir, I think it is not because Section 27 also stipulates a very strict compliance of that it should not be forced, it should not be induced, and then it's also not constitutional because you're actually forcing somebody to give evidence against his own self, which is not either admissible in CRPC or under
And you could argue that if a person had given consent to narco-analysis, then it's not forced or it's not induced. So how do you get out of that sort of situation? Okay, yeah.
So as long as the evidence is not self-incriminating, that part should be taken as well.
See, that's the question of 27. You make a confession, part of it, part is incriminating, but there's something else where you say the weapon was here, you just take that from the weapon and trace back to that person.
Then that is something we can use in evidence.
Right? So you're saying it's admissible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about 27. We have to take along the section 8. In Woodruff and Abhirali, this clearly says 27 is not understood. Voluntary test is important for 27, but voluntary test is not important for section 8. So now this is where Woodruff and Abhirali's comments would come into picture and make it sort of admissible under 8.
Under 8 and for what purpose?
The ruling is coming into picture. Only the fact of Purupuri Kutaya is said.
Right, so again, I don't know how many of you have been understood what he's saying, definitely under section 8, if the fact that there's a interesting case, the set of interesting cases, usually for everyone, Asia being the other, where a person commits an offense, cuts the head of a person, goes to the police station, puts the head there, and said, here, I've murdered so. Will that be admissible as evidence? Courts have said that the fact that he made that confession is not admissible, but you can
You're talking of
It is only
not the fact of discovery, there's no discovery, right?
I was talking about 27.
Right? So you could say that the fact that the FIR was registered, right? Then you went there and registered the FIR, that fact is admissible with respect to legislative, with respect to everything that happened at that point. Yeah.
I was talking in context of section 27. When we talk about 27, it is only a fact which is related to the discovery of a particular thing. It is limited to a particular extent. When the person says that this is the knife which I use and by which I kill the particular person. So the fact, the only statement which confines itself that this is the knife and I put it here, it is only admissible. The inculpatory part saying that I did not kill.
The question is this: you say that this is a knife by which I kill the person under the influence of narcotics.
No. I was saying that only with it is limited. The inculpatory part is not admissible under 27. So if we go for narco, even if a person gives his consent, at some moment of time he is not having control what he's saying. So ideally, we should never take it as that it should be admissible in any state.
Right. But just give me the citation of the article. Okay, so the Supreme Court is telling me refers to 11 judges in its position. Article 2 was a state of Bombay. Just give you the citation. But the Supreme Court had very clearly held that violation of a fundamental right, and if you violate a fundamental right, and through that get evidence, then that evidence is not admissible. Right? So therefore, in the context of narco, Selvi says that if you violate a person's fundamental right, which is what they said narco was, and through that you get a discovery, then that discovery is not admissible. Because you are not now 27 is not an exception to 25. Right? Because 27 is always read as an exception to 25 and 26. You might use it as section 8. You can use it possibly in the context of section 8, but still the same argument will apply there as well, that in case the fundamental right is violated, then other evidentiary rules will not apply. The fundamental rights are the foundation of your legal system.
Sorry,
It should be connected different. If I just shift it from part 3, fundamental rights to other legal rights. Say for example, identity.
Definitely, it will, because the foundation is fundamental right. If it goes to some other thing,
But can I just say on that? Article 21, sorry. Article 21 gets attracted when the procedure established by law is not followed. So even if it is any other legal right that is not followed, that is not the procedure established by law. So you would have a violation of Article 21.
Identification of Business Act.
No, I'm saying, sorry, my point is
that whenever there is a violation of a legal right, and through the violation of that legal right, some recovery is made under Article 20, under Section 27, the Article 21 will anyway be attractive, I would argue, because you are engaging in a deprivation of personal liberty without procedure established by law. So that's a simple matter. Any legal right would be following legal principles and legal rights would be procedure established by law. While I have the mic, I just wanted to say that the citation for Katikalu Okar is AIR 1961 SC 1808. That's AIR 1961 SC 1808.
Again, the Supreme Court in multiple cases has tried to get out of Katikalu Okar. It's very difficult to do the 11th judgment decision of the Supreme Court because in some cases courts want to use 27 as an overarching provision where you can get everything. Right, so therefore they say, oh, no Katikalu Okar in a particular context, etc. It wasn't very clearly said in Katikalu Okar that you cannot bring in evidence that is violating a fundamental right. So we have to be careful in these situations where courts try to use 27 as this escape provision when trying to take all evidence in 27 even if it violates various fundamental rights. Interestingly, the Supreme Court in its recent judgment, the right to privacy judgment, Justice Kudaswamy, has upheld Katikalu Okar's various points. This was not a point that was there before the court, but with the Supreme Court upholding various parts of Katikalu Okar in particular search, in the particular right to privacy, links back to the Okar was rightly decided, right? Because other vehicles subsequently are trying to say that Katikalu Okar wasn't rightly decided, which of course they can't do because the judge in the Supreme Court. And ultimately, in the case of D.K. Basu was state of West Bengal, it was already been done 1997, volume 1, SEC, page 468. All of these are crystallized in the guidelines given to ensure that torture is not committed. Right? Now, to make a segue from interrogation into torture, the classic case that we have to rely on in the context of prevention of torture is Francis Corrali Mullen versus Administrator of the Territory of Delhi, which is 1981, volume 1 SEC, page number 608, which is 1981, volume 1 SEC, page number 608, where the Supreme Court says that torture and cruel and degrading treatment constitute an abject violation of the right to life guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution. So this is the standard that we need to apply. Similarly, in Selvi, which I already referred to, the Supreme Court held that compulsory and involuntary administration of narco analysis test constitutes cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment and hence violates Article 21. So that's the ground on which narco analysis test was held as unconstitutional. So the citation of Francis Corrali is 1981, volume 1 SEC, page number Selvi. So in Selvi is 2010, volume 7 SEC, page number 263. And 2010, volume 7 SEC, page 263. That's Selvi. Now, in the case of Sunil Batra versus State, that is 1978. Volume 4 SEC, page number 494. I repeat, that's Sunil Batra, that is 1978. Volume 4 SEC, page number 494. The Supreme Court held that a death row convict cannot be placed in solitary confinement until the person's death sentence and execution are beyond judicial scrutiny. And the Supreme Court also held that ordinary prisoners cannot be kept in bar fetters. And so, important decision with respect to both death row convicts, which we are going to discuss later, and with respect to fettering of individuals. And subsequently, in Prem Shankar Shukla versus Delhi administration, that is 1980, volume 3 SEC, page number 526. And 1980, volume 3 SEC, page number 526. And in Sunil Gupta versus State of Madhya Pradesh, 1990, volume 3 SEC, page number 119. That is 1990, volume 3 SEC, page number 119. The Supreme Court held that handcuffing cannot be routinely and arbitrarily used in light of the prohibition against torture. Right? So therefore, bar fetters and handcuffing have both been held to be illegal and unconstitutional by the Supreme in terms of prevention of torture, again, like I said, DK was gives the guidelines. But more recently, there has been decision after decision by high courts, especially on the use of CCTV cameras in police stations and jails to ensure that torture doesn't take place. Right, multiple things are not referring to them. The one thing that we need to keep in mind in the context of CCTV cameras is, again, I don't know whether we spoke about this. One thing one person wants to say is that in your experience, you can actually have a torture behind the CCTV camera, right? And say, look, the camera was there showing nothing. Right? So that nature of using the CCTV camera as evidence, saying, look, because the CCTV camera is there, anything that happened outside the purview of the CCTV camera means it did not happen, is a dangerous thing to take. And also, we need to keep in mind of various things with respect to CCTV cameras that all of us know. One,
most of the time these are not working.
yeah, one is most of the time they are not working. Half of the last CCTV cameras don't work, right? And they have said repeatedly talked before the High Court in various cases that we have and said, no, really, more than half the cameras are not working. Right? That's the next thing I was coming to. One is where is the feed from the camera going to? Right? Is it going to an independent agency? Is it going within the police station or the jail?
And who is monitoring?
And who is monitoring? Right? So if I see my police station some torture is happening, I very quietly can delete that and say, look, that day the camera is not working. Right? And that's believable because CCTV cameras are not able to work all the time. Second is CCTV cameras, in terms of the hard disk that you have, the footage can be there for a week or a month, right? Or a day, right? So if your complaint is registered 1 week after the incident, you can just say, it got overwritten. Right? And it again comes back to that entire thing of trying to use so-called objective evidence that if it's not there in CCTV, it did not happen without considering the human elements behind that. So that's something we need to be careful about. That keeps on coming repeatedly about CCTV cameras, using CCTV cameras as this be all and end all in the context of evidence. Now, in the context of compensation, the Supreme Court in Nilavati Mehra was taken to the Associate Orissa, that is 1993, volume 2 SEC page number 746. That's 1993, volume 2 SEC page number 746. Held that any sort of torture is a violation of fundamental right, and hence compensation is a remedy available, which can be exercised by courts using Article 32 or 226 as the case may be of the Constitution. Okay. So, Nilavati Mehra recognizes that under the Constitution itself, the Constitutional Court, High Court, the Supreme Court can impose compensation, can award compensation using their powers under 32 and 226. Similarly, in the case of Shakila Abdul Ghaffar Khan versus Vasant Raghunath Dole, that is 2003, volume 7 SEC, page number 749. 2003, 7 SEC, page number 749. The court has said that if there is a criminal prosecution against the delinquent police officers in the context of torture, and that criminal proceeding ends up in acquittal, then that doesn't mean that departmental proceedings cannot take place. Right? So, departmental proceedings can continue even if there is acquittal in the criminal proceeding. And important thing in SP Vaidyanathan versus K. Shanmugathan, which is 1994, volume 4, SEC, page number 569. At 1994, volume 4, SEC, page number 569. The Supreme Court has held that no limitation applies to filing of a complaint of torture against a police officer. And there is no limitation with respect to filing of a complaint against a police officer. Right? That's with respect to torture and the question of interrogation. Now I deal quickly with the question of facilities in prison. And I also want to talk about official and non-official visitors as people who can ensure that the rights are not violated in the prison context. Again, the important decision in the context of prison is Sunil Batra was Delhi administration. This is Sunil Batra 2 was Delhi administration, which is 1980, volume 3 SEC, page number 488. Right, 1980, volume 3 SEC, page number 488. And this is something that Batra referred to right as we began. The Supreme Court very clearly said that prisoners do not lose their right to life, liberty, and dignity just because they have been in prison, right? Then Article 21 right continue, right? And they are not suspended because the person is in prison. Some of these rights can be taken away by using fair procedure, but without that, you cannot take away Article 21 rights. So we have got various cases that held constitutional rights like right to education being available, the writing books in state of Maharashtra versus Prabhakar Panduran Sanskrit, which is 1996 volume 1, SCR page number 702. Right, the Supreme Court said there is no bar on publishing of books. It was also earlier said in also plus that there is no similar bar. Then in 1966, there was a case in the Bombay High Court, NA Khan versus Gate, and this is in the manual, 1966 SEC Online, Bombay, page number 1, where the accused there, the retinue there, made a request for journals, newspapers, and periodicals, and said, I will pay for it, and I want these periodicals, and the business said, it's not in the list that we have, right? These newspapers are not in the list that we maintain, so we won't give you. Right? The Bombay High Court there held that there is nothing to show why providing these newspapers would discipline within the prison, which is the ground that they had cited, and therefore just because it's not on the list maintained by the prison, that does not mean that you cannot get access to those newspapers or periodicals. In the context of 21 rights or some of the constitutions that we removed by using fair process, in Ankul Chandra Pradhan first Union of India, 1997, volume 6 SEC page number 1, 1997, volume 6 SEC page number 1, the Supreme Court held that if you can deny voting rights to under trials and those in custody in addition to convicts, right? And they said the right to vote is a statutory right and not a fundamental right, so therefore you can curtail that right to vote. And the reason given at that time was criminalization of politics. Again, you need to remember that context. 1997 is the time when there was a lot of discussion on criminalization of politics. There was the Bora Committee report on criminalization of politics. So therefore, this was in the Supreme Court's data at that time of criminalization of politics. So this is the decision at that time. In Prabhat First Union of India, 1982 volume 1 SEC page number 1. Right, 1992 volume 1 SEC page number 1. The Supreme Court said that the press has the right to interview convicts in jail with their consent, and if it's been denied by the jail authorities, then strong reasons should be given to deny it and it should be given in writing. Okay. So therefore, the right of the press to interview convicts was suspended in Prabhat versus Union of India. Now, more recently, we have had cases with respect to the conjugal rights of people convicted, people in prison. Jaspir Singh was the state of Punjab. This is the Punjab 2014 SCC online Punjab and Haryana. File number is 22479. And 2014 SCC online Punjab and Haryana 22479. The Punjab and Haryana High Court held that there is a right to conjugal visits, and more recently, the Madras High Court took a very interesting approach where the request was made for the accused being available, the man being available for infertility treatment that his wife was undergoing, and she said that the question was whether the accused can be released so that he can also get treatment and through that they can have a child. Right? The Supreme Court said the Madras High Court recognized that right and said that just because the husband has been imprisoned does not mean the wife does not have a right to have a child, and therefore he should be released in that period for medical interventions as required. Right? And there is a huge jurisprudence on both infertility treatments as well as conjugal rights available to prisoners, because taking a life sentence does not mean that the partner does not have the capacity, partner's right to have a child should not be curtailed in the process. Okay. in the context of legal rights, then in the context of image postcode, which Abhay has already referred to, the Supreme Court, 1978, Volume 3 SCC, page number 544. Supreme Court said copies of judgments should be delivered to business and acknowledgements should be taken. A big issue that arises in business is that you have to favor the judgment that the court has given in favor of the prisoner and the prisoner never informed of it. Right? The counsel is someone who doesn't give that to the prisoner. The prisoner is not in court, especially if the person is under trial, as you know, he or she has been produced. If the person is not, right, does not produce the person. Right? There are common cases where the court has granted bail and the person in the prison doesn't even know that bail has been granted because of the fact that the lawyer never informed the person. The bail order did not reach. Sometimes these are like 89 conditions in the High Court, etc. Right? So, of course, long back, 40 years back, extended copies of these orders and judgments should be delivered to business and acknowledgement taken there. Right? Like I said, the one important issue is the question of visitors. So, right from the earlier Business Act of 19th century, we have this concept of having visitors to business, right? Official and non-official visitors. And the role of these visitors is to ensure that rights of business are not being violated. And these are important people in that setup. And I'm just going to cite from Sunil Batra, a citation of which I have already given to you, and quoting verbatim the court held or observe that all institutions that hold persons against their wishes think outright supervision. For by definition, they lack the internal checks and balances that make such supervision unnecessary elsewhere. One can check out of a hotel if abused, but cannot check out of a prison. Prison staff, unlike hotel staff, can also totally circumscribe the activities of inmates, have extensive coercive power and must be checked by outside authorities if it is not to be abused. While sharing the purposes of the penal system, the outside authorities should be altogether independent of the management of the institution it is to supervise and of its personnel. The general supervisory power of the judiciary is too cumbersome and has not proven sufficient anywhere. Such outside authorities exist abroad. In Great Britain, the Court of Visitors deals with violation of prison rules and deals with complaints by visitors. In France, a judge made the application is presumed to so and Italy is also have a similar system, right? So therefore, Sunil Batra, it has 40 years back, the Supreme Court had given the importance of having both official and non-official visitors. And across the country, a lot of cases these people are not even appointed, right? Official visitors is the district judge or the jail supervising judge. Non-official visitors are appointed by the government. Again, who are these people? The criteria in every state has a different criteria of who the non-official visitors be. It's important that this be taken into consideration, right? Also, very important is the UN General Assembly, and this might have been referred to in prior session. It came up with the minimum conditions that have to be followed in the Nelson Mandela guidelines. So, the Nelson Mandela guidelines, India was party to that, right? In the UN General Assembly, India was also one of the people, one of the countries in the who endorsed those guidelines, and therefore it is equally applicable to India. So we can use the Nelson Mandela guidelines in our future litigation to say that this is something that the UN General Assembly has endorsed and India has endorsed it, and so therefore this is, even though not binding, is something that should have value in the context of India. This has been done in the case of the human conditions where Gaurav was spoken to you about that, where you can use he has repeatedly used the Nelson Mandela guidelines to get the Supreme Court to give further directions to the government to enforce those guidelines, right? So Nelson Mandela guidelines very clearly say that the visitors are important people in this framework, and they should be appointed. And India is very efficient on this entire question of visitors, and that's something that I think as human rights lawyers we should keep an eye on and ensure it is complied properly. Then there's the question of access to counsel. And can you tell counsel, oh, you can only come for 10 minutes to meet your client, and you have to come only between this time and and this time, and then you will not have confidentiality with respect to accessing to meeting your client, right? Now again, Supreme Court judgments, especially now in human conditions, has said that you cannot, you should actually increase the number of visits that both the family and the lawyer can have with the business. There is no real there's no real rule of law purpose of issuing 30 days visits. Right? Again, as Mandela rules very clearly, rules 61 says business have to provide adequate opportunity, time and facilities to visit it and to communicate and consult the legal advisor of their choice. And Justice Mandela rule also says that you should not stop legal or any other visit as punishment. And that's something we do regularly in India. You are indisciplined, I will stop your meeting, mulakat with your lawyer or your family. And this is replicated in the Justice Mandela rule saying that you can't, you can take other things out as punishment, but you can't take that mulakat out as punishment. Similarly, in terms of physical exercise, right? Again, Sunil Batra, 40 years back, had said that you should provide physical exercise in prison. And you can't keep a person behind bars and say you can exercise only half an hour every day. Go out and walk around half an hour every day. Again, Sunil Batra said that violated across the country still. Then, in terms of some of the facilities in prison, again, Sunil Batra said we don't see any reason why there should not be minimum facilities provided for prisoner under in jail. And again, Justice Mandela rules very clearly in rules 21 and 22 as well as rules 21, 22 and 42 talk about the various kind of facilities that a prisoner should be entitled to it. Again, all of this actually comes down to this last point in terms of training of business staff. Right? If the business staff are not aware of any of these rules, right? Then they will not implement these rules. So therefore, again, both the Justice Mandela rules as well as Sunil Batra. Right? Again, Sunil Batra is implemented, everyone should read. Because 40 years back, the Supreme Court said things which still being violated, but it is the judgment document the basis of which we can do a lot of litigation as well as going forward. Right? So, thanks a lot. I think with this 2 minutes, you can take up.
You all know, Honorable Supreme Court judgment in Sunil Batra versus William Station case, in which the Honorable Supreme Court had directed that all the rights belong to the prisoner except those which are curtailed by the confinement of that person in the jail. Now, this is the reality of Indian jails. In India, we are having around 1400 jails. In India, we are having around 1400 jails, and the total capacity of the jails to keep the prisoner is 3,66,781. This is the sanction capacity to lodge the prisoner. Against this capacity, as of 31st December 2015, as per the statistics provided by the National Crime Record Bureau, there were 4,19,623 prisoners. Out of this, 95.7% were the male and 4.3% were the female. And the overcrowding rate is almost same since 2013. 2013 it was 118%. Then in 14 it became 117%, and 2015 it became 114%. This is rate of overcrowding. Then the undergrads constitute around 67% of the total population. The mids constitute 32%, and 1% is the retinue and others. Then you might be knowing that for every prison there are 3 goals. One is reformation, second one is rehabilitation, and third one is reintegration of the prisoner into the society. First and most important important right of the prisoner is right to human dignity. In this right, he is entitled to be treated with dignity and enjoy all the fundamental and other rights. Then he has right to protection against torture and physical and mental harassment. This is the most prominent charge which is made against the prison authority. Violation of this. Third one is that no one shall be subjected to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. Second one is right to get basic minimum needs. Then every person who is in the prison detention is entitled to fulfillment of basic minimum needs such as adequate diet, health, medical care and treatment, access to clean and adequate drinking water, access to clean and hygienic living conditions including sanitation and personal hygiene, clean adequate clothing, bedding and other equipment. There is the right to communication. Every person detained in any prison shall be subjected to overall consideration of safety and discipline in the prison, have the right to communication with the outside world, his or her family members as described under the rules. Basically, most of the jails, it is 2 interviews per week. And you will be glad to know that this press reporter, they are the friend of the prisoner. They can also meet the prisoner if superintendent jail permit, but they are in the right to meet the prisoner. Then he entitled to periodic interview with members of his family or friend to be notified at the time of admission by him and to receive information about the outside world through communication media as described by the existing rules made under this Act. In most of the jails, TV are provided, newspaper is provided. In most of the jails. I don't know about the physical jails. Then right to access to law. This is the constitutional right as well as legal right. In this, every person detained in any prison shall be entitled to have adequate legal remedies and legal aid, both within and outside the prison, have the right to consult to be defended by a legal practitioner, have the right to access to legal service and legal aid services, be entitled to petition to the prison authority for any lapse in the provision of basic amenities and facilities mentioned above, arbitrary punishment. You know, whatsoever punishment is being awarded by the superintendent jail to the prisoner, that is no punishment unless and until that has been appraised by the district and session judge. We entitled to petition to the prison authority for any lapse in the provision of basic amenities and facilities mentioned above, arbitrary punishment or any other matter which she perceived to be violative of prescribed rules. Then to be produced before the court on the date fixed for his remand or trial either physically or through electronic method. In Bombay, in Upper Road jail, around 50% of the under-trial prisoners were not being produced before the court because they don't have escort. Then, here, they deputed the magistrate to go to the jail and extend the judicial remand because they don't have police force. Then, right against arbitrary prison punishment. Any person detained in any prison in case of disciplinary violation shall be entitled to have precise information as to the nature of violation of Prison Act and rules. If I tell you about Delhi, in most of the cases, the punishment is given for smuggling the tobacco inside the prison. Since tobacco is the prohibited article, most of the time they are being punished for smuggling tobacco inside the prison. And for that, punishment is being given by the superintendent jail. To communicate of the decision of disciplinary proceeding, to be made aware of consequences of such punishment, and to appeal that provided in rules made under this Act. And many times I have seen that one person is punished for possessing tobacco inside the prison, and when his case was placed before the sentence review board, when his case was placed before the sentence review board, he was not granted premature release. He was not granted prematurely because he was punished inside the prison. Then right to meaningful and gainful employment. Any person detained in prison will have the right to meaningful and gainful employment in the prison labor according to which he has been sentenced, and be paid as per minimum wages for the act done in prison after making allowances for the prescribed contribution to be made toward victim compensation fund. Here it is 25%. So daily we are deducting 25% of the wages towards the victim welfare fund. And his maintenance expenses in the prison. Maintenance expenses come around 190 rupees per day. 190 rupees per day means if you multiply it to 30, it is around 4,500 rupees. And I want further point to add in this that if you the jail superintendent is not giving this labor to any prisoner, then he is eligible for wages because he was willing to work, but work has not been given by the superintendent jail. He is eligible for the wages. This has been heard by the Delhi High Court in several cases. Then right to be released on the due date. This is the most common violation. Every person detained in prison shall be released on the due date calculated as per the court order and the prescribed rules. You know what is happening? That when we receive the release order from the court, there are inaccuracies in the FIR number, under section, police station. Suppose original FIR number was 131 of the 86. In the release order, it is written 131 of the 87. What the jail superintendent will do, he will detain that person, he will not release him, and will refer back the matter to the court, stating that you have wrongly mentioned the FIR number, so kindly rectify the same. Every person detained shall be released on the due date calculated as per the court order and the prescribed rules. The aforesaid provision respecting rights of prisoners shall be displayed prominently on boards written in local language and generally understood by the inmates. Now, these are the duty of the prisoners. These are not relevant for today's discussion. Now, how can the liar enforce the prisoner's right of the prisoner's right? I will only mention two cases. In one case, there was a mentally ill female prisoner. She was in the mental asylum, and when the bail order was received, there was no one to take her custody. Then on that condition, I am ambiguous in that case. Then on my submissions, 5 halfway room have to open so that the prisoner, where no one is coming to receive them, they can be kept till the time someone from the family comes to receive that prisoner, that ex-prisoner. Second is the PIL, which I find actually in Delhi there are the rules which state that for open jail treatment, habitual prisoners are not eligible. These terrorists are not eligible, and women prisoners are not eligible. So against this ruling, I find the PIL in Delhi High Court. I am glad to tell you that the Honorable High Court has accepted our PIL and has allowed and has directed the state to include women prisoners for the treatment of open jail. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you to all the organizers for inviting us to to talk about some of the work that we've been doing on representing prisoners on death row, as well as the research that we've been doing on a lot of issues surrounding death penalty. For the next 40 minutes or so, I want to just talk to you about, and I'll try and integrate both parts of our work, the research and the litigation that we've been doing, and I want to discuss with the audience here, who have obviously a wider experience than even I do, on how do you tackle with some of these issues if you've represented someone on death row, or just generally people with some of the problems that I'll be discussing, such as mental health and other problems, pre-trial problems that people do face. So before I begin, I just want to, before we start discussing the issues of representing someone on death row, I think it's important for us to know who is India sentencing to death and how many people are on death row in India. So, and I begin with this because that's where our work started back in 2013 when we asked ourselves the question of how many people are on death row, and you intuitively think that there is some government data out there or some list which tells you the number of people, but to our surprise there wasn't anything like that, and we had to go around prison by prison, find out how many people are on death row, and then try to keep up that number, because as we've heard from the previous speakers as well, the reporting in a lot of the criminal justice related issues isn't that much in India. I mean, it becomes an issue if the media takes it out, if it's something which creates a lot of public discussion. But there are vast majority of people who are on death row in India, which if I was to tell you, you may not even know. You may know some of the high profile cases, but you may not know a vast majority of the people on death row. And that's a problem, especially about the death penalty more than any other punishment, because of its nature, because it is irreversible, right? So because it's the harshest punishment, we need to be most careful here. All of the standards that you have, that people before me in the last 2 days and today have talked about fair trial, about due process, they have to be the highest in case of death penalty. And I'm not even talking about, irrespective of what your moral position on the death penalty may be, it may be, you may think that, no one has the right to kill, including the state. That may be a moral position. But today, all of my discussion is not going to come from that. I am talking to you as both a lawyer who's representing people on death row as well as a researcher in this area, only from the point of view of what our constitution guarantees every citizen of this country, including prisoners of death row, right? So with that background, that's where all of my discussion will be, and I'd like to limit it to that. So the numbers that we see. In 2000 last year, at the end of last year, we had 371 prisoners on death row. And the year before that, there were 399. So it's been. Yes, sir. So that is anyone who's been sentenced to death by the trial court. And so then from trial court to the Supreme Court, even post the Supreme Court review, if your mercy is pending or if your mercy is rejected and you're in post mercy litigation, any of those prisoners, that's included in the 371 No, so it includes everyone in the judicial hierarchy. So correct. So, and I'll speak in both Hindi and English so that everyone around me understands. Sorry, I should have also started with that. I know people are from different parts of the country here. So, 371 में हमारे सारे लोग होंगे जिनको सत्र न्यायालय से ऊपर किसी भी न्यायालय में अगर उनकी डेथ पेनल्टी अपहोल्ड कर दी गई है, कंफर्म कर दी गई है, तो वो इस फिगर में काउंटेड है. सो टोटल 371 प्रिजनर्स हैं. अब उसकी जो अगर हम कैटेगरीज देखें ऑफेंसेस की किस सजाओं के लिए उनको ये मौत की सजा मिलती है, उसमें हम देखते हैं कि मर्डर सिंप्लिसिटर सबसे हाईएस्ट है और सारे द नेक्स्ट हाईएस्ट इन इंडिया इज सेक्सुअल ऑफेंसेस, राइट. Now, we also in our research project, we went around and interviewed all the death row prisoners in India from 2013 से लेके 2015 तक. हमने सारे prisoners का इंटरव्यू किया है और उनके फैमिली मेंबर्स जो लोग उनसे बात करना चाहते थे, हमने उनका भी इंटरव्यू किया. And from that, we know that 74.1%, right? So a vast majority of the prisoners are economically vulnerable. And this is important for us to know because this is what matters for the kind of representation that prisoners on death row are able to get. और इस फिगर को अंडरस्टैंड करने के लिए हमें ये भी देखना होगा कि जो लोग इकोनॉमिकली वल्नरेबल हैं वो उस फैमिली के बर्थडे जो सोल प्रोवाइडर क्या वो ही उस फैमिली में कमाई करते थे, क्योंकि अगर वो ही उस फैमिली में कमाई करते थे तो इस पनिशमेंट का इफेक्ट बस उन पे नहीं पड़ता, उनके फैमिली मेंबर्स पे पड़ता है। और वो हमें दिखता है कि अगर जो सोल एंड प्राइमरी अर्नर्स वर मोर देन 50% ऑफ दीज prisoners, सो इस पनिशमेंट का डायरेक्ट इफेक्ट या पनिशमेंट भी छोड़िए लीगल सिस्टम में एंटर करने का इफेक्ट उनके फैमिली मेंबर्स पे भी पड़ता है। और these are the vast majority of prisoners on death row. Now, educational profile, that is also important because as we have heard from the previous panel as well, it depends on how educated a person is or how much they understand about the legal system in terms of taking decision about what's happening in their own case. And we find that prisoners on death row in India, about 25%, a quarter of them have never even entered the school. Forget anything else, right? And then about 61% of them did not complete their secondary education. अब आप ये सोचिए कि जिस व्यक्ति ने अपना सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन खत्म नहीं करा है वो अपने केस को और उस केस में जिसमें उन्हें इतनी कठोर सजा मिली है वो उसको कैसे अपने आप कैसे देख पाएंगे उसका? They will be completely dependent on the lawyer that either they are provided by the state or the lawyer that they are able to get themselves. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the kind of legal representation prisoners have. Because we did this empirical study where we interviewed the prisoners, we also asked them how was their experience throughout the criminal justice system. And here is one myth that we all have, that because हमें ये लगता था कि because prisoners on death row सबसे गरीब होंगे, गरीब वर्ग से आएंगे, तो वो सब लोग शायद लीगल एड के वकीलों के द्वारा ही उनका केस लड़ा जाता है। But actually that's not the case. When you look at in the trial court, 70% of the prisoners actually had private representation. They did not have legal aid representation. So the other thing we have to consider here, which oftentimes we say कि सरकारी वकील तो खराब वकील होते हैं, उनके पास इतने सारे केस होते हैं, इतना काम होता है, वो ठीक से हर केस पे ध्यान नहीं दे पाते। बट वो प्रॉब्लम सरकारी वकीलों की देखी जाती है, वो प्राइवेट रिप्रेजेंटेशन के साथ नहीं देखी जाती। बट इट इज द ऑपोजिट हियर। If these people, and these are all prisoners who were sentenced to death by the trial court, 70% of them had private representation. Now, but what's interesting to understand is when you ask them, why is it that you went for private lawyers? Most of these prisoners, as I've already told you, 75% of them were economically vulnerable. But they went with private lawyers because most of them told us in their narratives that they did not trust the state legal aid. उनको भरोसा ही नहीं था कि जो सरकारी वकील उनको मिलेगा वो ठीक से उनका केस लड़ेगा, या वो दूसरी साइड से मिलेगा नहीं, या वो पीपी के साथ नहीं मिल पाएगा। All of those things they were worried about. So these people, as you see in the line below, 70.6% of the people who went for private representation in the High Court and Trial Court, they were economically vulnerable. So they sold off their lands, they sold off जो भी उनके पास रखा था, उन्होंने लोन लिया, सब कुछ करके they got private lawyers. And these are also private lawyers. Now, if you understand, these would be private lawyers in those districts, in those cities, who would be amongst the range of lawyers that you find, the ones who would charge the least, right? And as much as I don't want to say कि ऐसा तो नहीं है कि जो वकील ज़्यादा चार्ज लेता है वो ही अच्छा काम करेगा, ऐसा नहीं है. But we know that is what we end up seeing in these cases. And in Supreme Court, this figure is turned around on its head. Because Supreme Court is so alienated from the rest of the country in terms of both geography. It's not like their families are able to travel here or try and scout a lawyer. There, only 29% of the prisoners had private representation. So most of the others were either legal aid or by pro bono lawyers. Now, issues with private representation थी ट्रायल कोर्ट और हाई कोर्ट में, और सुप्रीम कोर्ट में आके मैक्सिमम लोगों के पास लीगल एड। अब अगर हम now the next thing I wanted to talk about was the different issues with legal representation that we find. And this issue has already been talked about by the previous speakers, like Advocate Verma as well, on the need for lawyers to go and meet their clients. And I think that this need is even more heightened in cases of death penalty because of the burden that the law requires. And here we have, in the case of Durga Gupta versus State of Madhya Pradesh, this was a case from 2002 where the accused was convicted for murder of 5 children, and one after the other in an extremely brutal fashion. And this case comes up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is surprised by the fact that there has been no mental health evaluation which has been done of Durga Gupta until the time the appeal came before the Supreme Court. And aghast by this, the court says that this would have happened because the person had relied on legal aid throughout. So the court also says that here the accused did not get a chance to meet the counsel because the counsel did not visit the accused and was not able to ascertain the mental disposition of the accused. So we have to think about the burden that the law has and the fact that the courts are required to, at the trial stage, also see whether, it starts with looking at competence to stand trial and whether the person can avail the insanity defense, or even if the person is convicted, then to think of mental health issues during the sentencing hearing. All of that, while it is a burden of the state, it is also the burden of the legal aid lawyer or the private lawyer to bring this to the attention of the court, because they will be the ones who are first meeting the accused. And that has been a problem that we see throughout in all of the cases where we are also representing the accused, and they tell us details like some of the instances that I'd like to share with you all. A case of which got decided in 2016, Dhal Singh Devangan versus State of Chhattisgarh. I raised this case because so we had briefed senior advocate Colin Gonzalez in this matter, and here my colleague and I, we had gone and met Dhal Singh in Chhattisgarh in Raipur prison, and when we met him, he told us aspects of the case which were not there on the record itself. The most important one. So Dhal Singh was accused of murdering his wife and 4 children. The court, one of the things that the High Court notes in its decision is that Dhal Singh is the only man who was there in the house. He's the only survivor of this entire crime, and the only other person who was alive, apart from the deceased, was his mother, who later recanted her testimony, right? And she turned hostile. Now, so the court says that because Dhal Singh is the only man and all the doors were locked from inside, therefore no one else could have entered the house, and therefore Dhal Singh would have been the only one who could have committed the offence. But you go and talk to Dhal Singh, and Dhal Singh tells us that his house is like one of the houses in the villages, where the boundary wall is 4 feet high, and anyone can go over that, right? And this is the kind of detail which is missing from the site map. This is the kind of detail which the court is blissfully unaware of. So we raised this before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court notes that therefore this assumption that the High Court made that no one else would have entered the house was incorrect. So issues like this you will only find if you are able to go meet the client and able to then also go to the scene of the crime. We went to the house where the offence had happened, where Dhal Singh's mother was turned hostile. She continues to live there. We went and met her in that home, and we took pictures of that place, and that's how we realized that the story that the High Court was just believing based on the paper record was completely incorrect. Now, other issues, I won't stress on juvenility because Ajay has already dealt with that in the previous presentation. But I'd just like to say the statistics on this are so alarming. 18 of the 373 prisoners that we interviewed in our project, they claim juvenility. 18. That's 5% of people saying that the law should not have turned out the way that it did. What are the other things that we can get if we go and meet the client? Sentencing related information, and I'll come back to this later as to why this is important. Because you have to present what does the law require. It requires you to weigh mitigating and aggravating circumstances. Mitigating circumstances are supposed to be about the accused. You will only get that if you go and talk to the accused, and it's like, think of what is mitigation, right? Mitigation is if I was to meet any one of you and ask you about your life story, you can't do that in a 10-minute conversation or 15-minute conversation. Can you tell me substantial details about yourself which will determine what the way that you made your life choices in that brief conversation? You can't. You have to spend time with that person. You have to really get to know that person. And you have to get to know that person not just by talking to them, but by talking to everyone who's important in their life, who's had an impact on them, to go and see the place that they grew up. All of those things are required, right? And that will only happen if you go and meet your client. And the last thing I want to just flag here, which is important, especially in the death penalty context, is the change in the law that happened in end of 2015 in December, where the Constitutional Bench in Sriharan's case, they decided that the High Court and the Supreme Court now can also impose life imprisonment without remission in those cases which are death eligible. तो मतलब जिन केसेस में फांसी की सजा आपको मिल सकती थी, अब जो अपील के कोर्ट्स हैं हमारे, जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल कोर्ट्स हैं, वो लाइफ विदाउट रेमिशन का सेंटेंस भी दे सकते हैं. Now, why is this important for the point that I'm making about need of interaction? Because a lot of the people you go and meet, they will tell you that it's a conundrum that you have, right? Because they will tell you, I would much rather die than live the rest of my life in prison. I'm raising this with a very heavy heart because a lot of our clients have said that to us. Now, obviously, that's something that's a conversation for you to have with your clients if they tell you about this, and for you to weigh whether you are willing to not ask for life without remission if it comes at the cost of the prisoner spending their rest of their lives. But that's still something that requires you as a lawyer. It's your ethical and legal responsibility to take instructions on this. Now, just some more statistics about how we see the interaction with lawyers turning out. And here, I just want to highlight the last figure. I don't have time to go through everything, but I will be circulating my PPT. The last figure, 44.1% of the prisoners did not know the name of their lawyer in the Supreme Court. The name, right? Forget anything else. Now, what are the kind of issues that we see when we're dealing with death penalty appeals? One major important one, and that's both private and legal aid lawyers are accused of this. Conviction issues are just not raised in the appeals because it is thought that the trial court would have, it's the fact-finding court, they would have done their job, उन्होंने ठीक से किया होगा, तो अपील में तो हम बस sentencing को ही दे देंगे. ये काफी बार वकील की सोचने का नजरिया होता है और काफी दफा अगर आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट में बैठे होंगे, काफी जजेस भी बोलेंगे कि मैडम आप ये क्यों बोल रही हैं ये सारी चीजें, अब तो हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट में आ गए, आप सेंटेंस पे आर्ग्यू करें, right? And that's problematic because the law is completely contrary to this. I know Ajmal Kasab's case has been cited in a different context about pre-trial representation, but on the point of what the court's responsibility was in terms of how they would review his appeal, the court there said that in cases of death sentence, given the nature, this appeal court, the apex court, is going to revisit questions of fact and law on both conviction and sentence. So, and that the court does because of the importance of the death penalty cases and the kind of cost which is involved in it. But even when we have such kind of judgments from the Supreme Court, we still find in limine dismissals at the highest level. And in limine dismissals are basically where the 136 special leave petition which has been filed before the court does not admit it and does not look at any issue of evidence or sentence, and only on the threshold dismisses the case. And in the last, from 2004 to 2015, you have 11 prisoners whose petitions have been dismissed in limine. These in limine dismissals are one-word order. They say dismissed. Now ask yourself this: this is something that I just can't resolve, both as a lawyer as well as as a human. The fact that there are electricity matters, there are consumer matters where you have a statutory right to appeal before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court will hear all of it. But in death penalty cases, it will dismiss it in limine, in a one-word order. And that's something to be challenged. The next thing that I want to raise here is about issues of proving compulsion. I know Pranal and Aparna referred to both Katikali Hogard and Nandini Satpathy. The reason I'm raising this is actually, so let's look at what is Katikalu did, right? It basically, the court says that any statement which is being made to a police officer, you are going to assume that that is not freely made. But because, what is the inference that we draw from the judgment? Because in section 27, if I can independently verify that I murdered him and I hid the knife under the table, and the police is able to find the knife under the table, then because they were able to verify it, it kind of takes away from that assumption of compulsion, right? That's what 27, that's how the proviso is working. That's the logic of the statute. But I think that there is one key aspect of this which we have over the years forgotten, which actually we can use science to kind of challenge the way that this section is read, because we know in practice, all of us know how these 27 statements, how these disclosure memos are. This is not verbatim. हर जो शब्द बोला जाता है विक्टिम के अक्यूज के बारे में, अक्यूज के द्वारा, वो नहीं लिखा जाता, ना ही रिकॉर्डिंग होती है, कुछ नहीं होता. आप एक समरी पैराग्राफ पढ़ रहे हो, नहीं तो आप एक 1 पेज का डिस्क्लोजर मेमो पढ़ रहे हो, जो अगर मल्टीपल अक्यूज होंगे, सबने सेम ही चीज बोली होगी, राइट? एंड इन फैक्ट दिस सेड इन लैंग्वेज सच एज, चलो मैं तुमको चल के दिखाता हूं. मतलब आप सोच ही नहीं सकते कि वो इतनी रेडिली ऐसे बोलेंगे, बट चलिए ठीक है, आपका डिस्क्लोजर मेमो वैसे लिखा हुआ है. Why is it important for us to revisit this section now? Because we have science which is being looked at in other jurisdictions about the psychology of false confessions. And I raise this because there's a lot of discussion which is happening. Again, I know we take the reference of Western countries into this, but it is important for us to see if we can take help from the discussion in the law over there. So, what's happening in the United States, we've seen a lot of, you would have all heard about the exoneration cases which have happened because of the DNA evidence which came post-conviction, right? And in all of those DNA exonerations, they have found over the years, on the basis of DNA evidence itself, until last year, there were about 350 DNA exonerations. There have been far more, but that was for non-DNA related cases also. If we were all to assume that DNA is the best forensic science out there, and that these exonerations were the foolproof exoneration, because a lot of times India में हमारा सोचने का तरीका क्या है, मिडिल का कि भाई काफी evidence नहीं था, you know, you have done the crime, but we just didn't have enough evidence to basically say that you were guilty. That's how a lot of people understand acquittals here, right? If you were to take DNA exoneration as the gold standard, in 25% of them in the United States, you found false confessions. And the nature of these confessions has been now reviewed by psychologists. And what they say, they've come up with 3 types of false confessions that confessions to police officers which were later found to be false. They can be categorized in 3 ways. 1, voluntary. 2, compliant and internalized. Now, voluntary confessions are, psychologists call those as voluntary confessions where the person actually believes themselves. They just come and say that they have done something. And most of these people suffer from some kind of mental disorder. Compliant false confessions are those where the person would start with resisting, saying that they are innocent of the crime. But because of the way that they got interrogated, and in their jurisdictions, reporting of physical torture isn't as much as the kind of police inducement that they do. And there's a lot, the interrogation technique which is being used there for a lot of years, which is now under challenge, is the read technique of interrogation. I can't go much into it, but I advise you all to look into that, because the people who developed the read technique have actually even come all the way to India, and we know that that's being used. Like I saw a newspaper article from last year where there was a conference also which was done in Kerala about the use of read technique and how that's going to be the best way in which the police can crack the accused. And most of the mental health experts of good standing have said that that technique does not work, because it's basically just weathering down the person to the point where they will say anything you want them to say. You will keep playing good cop, bad cop, you will keep intimidating them, you will use lights, you will use the way, exactly what Justice Iyer in 78 had said about compulsion, that you will use all of these atmospheric pressures, environmental coercion, all these techniques to basically break the person down, and then they'll agree to anything you have to say. Those are kind of compliant false confessions. And in their jurisdiction, they're able to raise this because their confessions are, in a lot of their jurisdictions, either they are video recorded or there is a full transcript, word to word, the question which was asked and the answer which was received. And so from that, they're able to show how police is, suggesting information to the accused. And the last is internalized, where they then start believing that yes, they are the ones who have done the. Now, the question to be asked is that in voluntary and in internalized false confession cases, the Section 27 standard really is not going to help. Because if tomorrow you go and find that knife under the table, then the question is, you would have found it because I said anything you wanted me to say. So then that disclosure memo and the fact that it got verified because of the discovery of that knife doesn't matter. And that's where we have to ask ourselves, is 27 really the way? Is it a provision which is bound to fail? Is it bound to be abused by the police? The next thing I quickly want to just go over the sentencing law. I'm sure all of you are aware of the Bachchan standard. The only one point I'd like to make here, which I think often people forget, there is a way of reading Bachchan which, even in our judicial cases, you find it only very few cases that the court has kind of picked up on that part. There are two parts to Bachchan. One part is to look at mitigating and aggravating circumstances. And I've already spoken about what is mitigation. So the court is supposed to weigh the two. And the next part, if after weighing, the case somewhere becomes death eligible, so to say, the court is also supposed to ask itself the question whether the alternate of life imprisonment is unquestionably foreclosed. That question can't be automatically answered after weighing, mitigating and aggravating circumstances. Right? And I urge you all to read paragraphs 206 to 209 of Bachchan to see how you can craft that reading. Now the other thing that we have to do, especially if you're an appeal lawyer, is to also ask the added question of streamlining. Whether the alternate of life imprisonment without remission, is that unquestionably foreclosed? Mitigation, I've already covered that. So, just very quickly, the procedural law, we know that it is that the trial is supposed to be bifurcated. You're supposed to take time for conviction and then for sentencing. And this is where the reading of, you've had Supreme Court cases say that there should not be same-day sentencing. Why? Because same-day sentencing will not allow you as a defense lawyer to go and actually collect all life history of the client and present it to the court in a way of saying that these are the problems which happened in the life of the accused. Now that is not meant to be an excuse for the offense. So people often get confused and judges often make remarks about, no, but look at the heinous crime and look at all of that. That you've already admitted to having done the crime when you are in sentencing, right? What you're trying to do here is to show why the person made those life choices, why that ended up happening. And oftentimes it's not even, I know I use the word choice, but it's not a choice in a lot of cases. And that you will only know if you find out about the prisoner. Now, the law on same-day sentencing, even though it has been established by the Supreme Court that it should not be same-day sentencing, it continues to happen. And we've done, we are currently in the last phases of our research project on trial court sentencing, where we've looked at the decisions by trial courts in where they awarded the death sentence in Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and Delhi for the last 15 years. So there are 215 such cases, and it's such an unfortunate figure to say that in 211 of them there were dates of conviction and sentencing available. So from these 211 cases, 92 of them, which is 44% of the cases, had same-day sentencing. And when you look at it, when you break this up state-wise, Madhya Pradesh is such an outlier in this because you find 60 out of the 82 cases which came from Madhya Pradesh as same-day sentencing. So literally they would have finished the conviction case and then they would have just bataiya ab kya hona chahiye. And you can imagine in those cases I've already also put in the third column you can see where no mitigating circumstances were looked at by the court, and those were 41 of those cases. obviously they won't look at mitigating circumstances because they're not given the time to look for that. Finally, I'll just end with mental health evaluation, and I've already spoken about how it has to be looked at the time of conviction itself and at pre-trial to see whether the person is competent to stand trial, then to look at whether there is an insanity defense which can be crafted. Now, just one thing about the insanity defense, there is a lot of work which we all have to do in bringing the law up to where it has to be, because we are lagging far behind from other jurisdictions on this. Our understanding of legal insanity and soundness of mind, these are all legal fictions. The medical community, if you were to go and talk to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, they will tell you there is no word. I mean, they've left they don't understand what unsoundness means. It's not a medical term. And even insanity is not a medical term anymore. Right? There are mental health disorders which are looked at, and so we need to work with them to try and craft what should be the standard for defense of insanity. Obviously, we have to look at mental health during sentencing, because as we know from Bachchan Singh, the court says that the mental and emotional state of the accused has to be seen, and also before the execution of the death sentence happens. As from Shatrughan Chauhan's case in January 2014, the court said that mental illness is a supervening circumstance, and what they mean by so my time is up. I'll just quickly wrap up. What we mean by supervening circumstances is anything which, irrespective after the entire appeal process is over and the guilt has been established, if there is something which emerges, and these supervening circumstances, they arise in the cases of death row prisoners because they end up spending so much time on death row, right? And so the court has said that if someone has mental illness, they cannot be executed in our country. I'll just, on mental illness, because this is also a figure that it's not publicly available yet, because we're doing this research project, and I'll end with this. We are currently doing a project where we have visited prisons in 5 states. That's Delhi, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Kerala, and Chhattisgarh. And out of the 88 prisoners who we interviewed here and we administered mental health screeners on these people, we find that 50 out of these 88 people had at least one mental illness. And I'm not talking about mental health concern, which is a broader category. Mental illness are diagnosable mental illnesses. So 56% of them had that, and 32% of them suffer from major depression. Right? And these are all things which we need to use to advocate for better conditions on death row, as well as for better application of the law. Thank you.
Hello friends, I'm Kajeri from IPJ India, and I'm filed many PRLs in Delhi High Court. And the recent PRL of mine is on the deduction which under the Victim Compensation Fund. In Bihar we are doing this, but I'll just explain you my research work, what I did. There is a judgment which sir also talked about of this episode. It came in 1998. It is State of Gujarat versus State of Honorable High Court of Gujarat. In that judgment, the Supreme Court recommended the state to form a fund, welfare fund, so that and deduct the wages of the convicts, so that the same fund could go to the victims of the offence. Then pursuant to this order, what the Delhi government of NCT Delhi, they amended the Delhi Prison Act, Prison Rules 1988 in 2006, and they inserted a new rule. It is 39A, which talks about wages, the deduction of the wages, how the wages shall be paid. Then they talk about that 75% of the wages shall be given to the prisoners, and the rest 25% of the wages shall be deducted and paid to the victim or their legal representative. And then they also made a rule that a common fund, victim welfare fund, shall be constituted in every jail, in which wages shall be deposited, and made the superintendent as the head of the victim welfare fund. Then, pursuant to this, In 2008, the CRPC was amended. Before 2008, the CRPC, there was already a section 357, which we all know, in which says that a compensation should be given to the victims of the offences. 357A was inserted in it, and it was made that every state should have a victim welfare scheme, victim compensation scheme, which would be guided by the Central Victim Compensation Fund. And for that also, Central Victim Compensation Fund was made by the center, which had 200 crore rupees of corpus just to support and implement all these schemes, to look after these schemes, whether it is being implemented in every state or not. Then, in my research work, what I did was, I just logged into the Delhi Bihar website and just checked that website, and then I checked all the notifications, all the circulars and everything, just to find out if there is any audit of these victim funds being conducted on regular basis, on whatever the period is there specified. But what I found two JA's report. It was JA number 6 and JA number 7. In JA number 6, the auditors, the internal auditors, they have strictly said that no fund has been utilized, and there is like around in 2016, 19 lakh something fund was lying there, which was completely unutilized. And since the formation of that victim welfare fund, the fund has not been given to the victims, and no register has been maintained as to how many people have been compensated to that fund. And same was with JA number 7. And the same was with JA number 7. We have, and then I searched for the case law if I can find any case law, and I found a Himachal Pradesh High Court case law. It is Mahesh Kumar versus Pay, in which what Himachal Pradesh High Court did, they asked for the refund of all the wages which have been deducted from the prisoners, stating that these deductions are unconstitutional, these deductions are illegal, unlawful, and they also said give them interest at 9% per annum. Interest should be given to the convicts from whom the wages have been deducted. And in the PI only, and I have made the same for the refund of the wages and deduction of the wages, whatever they have deducted, refunded or formulate a guideline. They should have a specific guideline, either mix the victim compensation scheme and the welfare fund, or just refund the entire amount. Since we already have a law on it, we can't, the state do not, as Supreme Court has said, the state cannot formulate their own laws. Already when a law is with the 357A, we have a CRPC, we can't have our own separate laws, they can't have their own laws, they can't impose like these orders on the convicts and
Thank you, Bethany. I think we are running out of time. बहुत धन्यवाद। ओपी जिंदल ग्लोबल विश्वविद्यालय के इस सभा कक्ष में आप जैसे विद्वानों के बीच मैं एडवोकेट नहीं हूँ। बिहार में बंदी अधिकार आंदोलन नाम से एक संगठन है, उसी के साथ मिलकर बंदियों के टॉर्चर, उनके कन्विक्शन, उनके बेल, उनके पैरोल आदि पे मैं जहां तक ताकत है अपना काम करता हूं। और दिल्ली के हमारे साथी जो एडवोकेट हैं उनके साथ मिलकर कुछ हमारा PIL भी है, तो प्रीवियस विजेस के जो है PIL भी है, जो कॉलम देख रहे हैं। दरअसल जो जेलें हैं पूरे विश्व की, मैं मानता हूं कि वो टॉर्चर की प्रयोगशाला है। डेमोक्रेसी का जितना विस्तार हो जाए, ऐसी वैसी प्रयोगशाला नहीं। पाकिस्तान की जेल में एक हिंदुस्तानी कैदी को मारा जाता है,
हिंदुस्तान का गृह मंत्री चीख चीख के रोता है, देशभक्ति की याद जगाता है, लेकिन उन्हीं के पार्टी द्वारा शासित तमाम प्रदेश की जेलों में वही कस्टोडियल किलिंग ग्रुप वो इस पे चुपचाप करते हैं और कैदियों के कस्टोडियल किलिंग पे, उनके कस्टोडियल टॉर्चर पे वे नागरिक स्वीकृति पाने की कोशिश करते हैं कि अपराधी हैं, इनके साथ ऐसा ही होना चाहिए। इसी संदर्भ में जो उनकी मजदूरी का सवाल है, गुलाम प्राचीन काल, मध्यकालीन विश्व में और हिंदुस्तान में गुलाम होते थे। जो युद्धबंदी होते थे वो गुलाम होते थे। बड़ी बड़ी इमारतों, भवनों, मंदिरों, मकबरों, सड़कों के निर्माण कार्य में उनको लगाया जाता था। वो अगर नहीं करते थे तो कोड़ों और चाबुक से उनको पीटा जाता था, जिंदा रहने के लिए भोजन दिया जाता था। यही आज के प्रिजनर्स वेजेस के पहले की कहानी है कि उनको जिंदा रखना है इसलिए खाना देंगे, वरना इनका कोई आवश्यकता नहीं था। दोस्तों, आज जो कन्विक्शन हो रहा है हमारे यहाँ बिहार में, कन्विक्शन रेट को देश के सुशासन से जोड़ दिया गया है कि हमने इतना कन्विक्शन दिया तो हमारे देश में सुशासन हो गया। सरकार वकीलों को मीटिंग में प्रोत्साहित करती है कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा कन्विक्शन दिलाएं। तो ऐसी सरकारें वेजेस के प्रति गंभीर क्यों रहेगी? बिहार में अभी वेजेस सबसे ज्यादा, 2 साल पहले बहुत कम, लेकिन तो भी मिनिमम वेजेस से बहुत कम है। और राज्यों का एक छोटा समय बोल दे रहा हूं आपको, आंध्र प्रदेश में मिनिमम वेज 327 रुपया है एक दिन का, जेल में 70 रुपए उनको मिलते हैं। अरुणाचल प्रदेश में 90 से 100 रुपया है, जेल में उनको 75 रुपया मिलता है। बिहार में 2 से 25 रुपए है, जेल में उनको 121 रुपए मिलते हैं। छत्तीसगढ़ में 2 से 30 रुपए है, जेल में उनको 15 रुपए मिलते हैं। ये 2012 का। गोवा में 2 से 26 रुपए हैं, 70 रुपए मिलते हैं। इसी किस्म से पूरे देश के आंकड़े हैं। इन आंकड़ों को देख कर लगता है कि 60% उनका काट लिया जाता है और बाकी जो बचता है, जैसे राज्य की जो विकास योजनाएं चलती है, तो पैसा कब मिलेगा? जेल से निकलने के बाद तो पूरा का पूरा दौड़ते रहते हैं और उस पैसा को निकलवाने के लिए पूरी पैरवी, रिश्वत एक आम चीज है। वो पैसा उनको बंदी जीवन में तो नहीं मिलता है, बाहर निकलने पे भी उनको नहीं मिलता है। मैं मानता हूं कि अभी पूरे हिंदुस्तान में जितने भी कैदी हैं वो अर्धदास्ता की स्थिति से गुजर रहे हैं। स्लेवरी की कंडीशन है, 3 और 4 कंडीशन है उनकी स्लेवरी। पहला कि अगर वो काम नहीं करना चाहेंगे तो उनको पीटा जाएगा। दूसरा, काम करने का उचित पारिश्रमिक मांगने का उनको हक नहीं रहेगा। चौथा, जिस चीज का उत्पादन करेंगे उनको बनाने का हक नहीं है। और चौथा,
उनको यूनियन फॉर्म करने का राइट नहीं। ये चारों चीजें हिंदुस्तान के तमाम कैदियों पर लागू होती है। तो एक आजाद भारत में जहां प्रजातंत्र को हरदम आगे बढ़ाने की बात होती है, सरकार खुद बोलती है कि मिनिमम वेज एक्ट 1948 हमको लागू करना है। हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी रोज बोलते हैं समान काम के लिए समान वेतन। तो फिर कैदी जो काम करते हैं उनको समान वेतन क्यों नहीं? यह एक बहुत बड़ा सवाल है जिसपे कम से कम नागरिक समाज के बहुत छोटे हिस्से द्वारा उनके लिए एडवोकेसी हो रही है, लड़ रहे हैं। आप जैसे लोग लड़ना चाहिए, लेकिन बाकी समाज में इस पूरे मामले पे चुप्पी है। और जो कैदी हैं, आप अगर उनका बैकग्राउंड देखेंगे तो कौन लोग जेल में हैं, उनका बैकग्राउंड पहले से ही गरीबी का बैकग्राउंड है। किसान है, मजदूर है, बीमार है, वो जब जेल आते हैं तो काम करते हैं। और काम के लिए आप लोग तमाम लोग हिंदी फिल्में, अंग्रेजी फिल्में देखते होंगे। उन फिल्मों में अक्सर देखा जाता है कि कैदियों को एक ड्रेस पहना के किसी पत्थर या कोयले के माइंस में डाल दिया जाता है और वो हथौड़ा चलाते रहते हैं। यानी कि उनको एक बहुत बड़ी सजा के रूप में उनसे काम लिया जा रहा है, उनके सेल्फ रिस्पेक्ट के रूप में नहीं, उनके डिग्निटी के रूप में नहीं। तो सरकारें जो है बिल्कुल कैदियों के प्रति उदासीन है और उनको नन पर्सन के रूप में देख रही है, उनको एक लीगल पर्सन के रूप में वो नहीं देख रही है। आर्टिकल 39 जो है, आर्टिकल 21, आर्टिकल 41, आर्टिकल 43, ये जितने आर्टिकल हैं वो कैदियों के मिनिमम वेज की वकालत करते हैं कि उनका राइट टू लाइफ विथ डिग्निटी जो है वो बिल्कुल मतलब बहाल होना चाहिए। लेकिन हमारे समाज में 8 घंटे काम की जो बाहर की बात है, बंदी अधिकार आंदोलन की जो मांग है, ये स्किल्ड, सेमी स्किल्ड और अनस्किल्ड को मिनिमम वेज दिया जाए, टोटल डिडक्शन 30% से ज्यादा नहीं किया जाए, 8 घंटे काम किया जाए, अंडर ट्रायल भी अगर काम करना चाहे तो उसको भी काम उपलब्ध कराया जाए और हर मंथ में फिक्स डे पे उनका पैसा, उनकी सैलरी, उनका भत्ता उनको दिया जाए। जय।
मुझे बहुत खुशी है आप सबको देख और मेरा मन तो था आपके बीच में आने का, लेकिन कल यहाँ असेंबली सेशन शुरू हो रहा है और बजट सेशन शुरू हो रहा है, इसलिए ये बाय प्रोटोकॉल एंड बाय लॉ एंड रूल्स दैट गवर्नर्स प्रेजेंस इज एसेंशियल। इसलिए मैं आपके बीच में नहीं आ पाया आज, मुझे क्षमा करना। आप प्रिजनर्स एक्ट के बारे में बात कर रहे हो, अब तक जो मैं बोल रही हूँ स्पीच साफ साफ आ रही है क्या?
यस क्लियर मैम क्लियर।
मुझे बहुत खुशी है, 2 जिलों को मैं जानती हूँ जिनको मैं देख रही हूँ। एक है मेरा भाई सुनील गुप्ता और दूसरा है मोनिका धोरे।
थैंक यू मैम।
और क्षमा करना, मैं और किसी की पहचान शायद
दोनों को देते, क्योंकि इन दोनों के बिना वो काम नहीं हो सकते थे। एक बिहार में सुधार सुनील गुप्ता की वजह से हुआ और उसकी सारी टीम और इंडिया का तो प्रिजनर सुधार हो रहा है, बहुत सारे प्रिजनर में वो है वर्का की वजह से। आप सबकी मदद से, आप सबके आशीर्वाद से जो भी अभी तक प्रिजन काम संभव हुआ है वो बहुत जबरदस्त एक कलेक्टिव अचीवमेंट था, क्योंकि विजिबली या इनविजिबली लोगों ने बहुत बहुत मदद की और किन किन लोगों ने मदद की उसको हमने एक किताब में लिखा है। अगर आपको समय मिले तो जरूर देख लीजिए। उसका किताब का नाम है इट्स ऑलवेज पॉसिबल। अगर वो किताब अगर वो आप किताब देखेंगे आपको सारी स्ट्रैटेजीज पता चलेंगी कि प्रिजनर्स के राइट्स को कैसे समझाया जा सकता है। प्रिजनर्स के राइट्स को लिखित भी ना हो, रिटन में भी ना हो, कानून भी ना हो, प्रोटोकॉल भी ना हो, जजमेंट भी ना हो, लेकिन मानव ह्यूमैनिटेरियन ग्राउंड्स पे आप उसको संभव कर सकते हैं। इसलिए उस किताब का नाम ही है इट्स ऑलवेज पॉसिबल। तो मैं आपको आप कर रहे बात प्रिजनर्स के राइट्स is how you observe and recognize prisoners' rights. मेरा विश्वास ये है कि prisoners के rights तब माने जाएंगे, तब कदम होगी जब हम अपनी जिम्मेदारियों को समझें। जब हम अपनी जिम्मेदारी को समझते हैं तो prisoners के rights automatically सुरक्षित हो जाते हैं। But when we do not recognize our own responsibilities as managers, as supervisors, as senior officers, as legal defenders, as government officers, as community workers, community NGOs, the prisoners के rights जो मर्जी लिख लो, जो मर्जी लिख लो, कुछ नहीं होगा, वो झगड़ा ही होगा, वो लड़ता ही रहेगा, प्रिजनर राइट मांगता ही रहेगा, परेशान होता रहेगा, बेचैनियों के चक्कर काटता रहेगा, पिटीशन देता रहेगा, यहाँ तक कि घूस भी देता रहेगा, लेकिन प्रिजनर का राइट उसको नहीं देगा। Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So right, prisoners के rights शुरू होते हैं हमसे। यहाँ prisoner कोई नहीं बैठा है। So prisoner का right is in the hands of the supervisor, the other outside the prison, which is we, the authorities, whether we are government or non-government. So इसलिए मेरा ये व्यू ये है, अगर मैं आपको थोड़ा सा याद कराऊं बिहार में पुराना मैनुअल था जब हमने रिफॉर्म शुरू किया था। पुराना मैनुअल था, नया मैनुअल नहीं था, जिसमें कोई एजुकेशन दिवस लिखा ही नहीं था, रिफॉर्म का लफ्ज ही नहीं था। एक पीवीसी किताब थी, बच्चों का विवेक का कुछ नहीं था, बच्चों की एजुकेशन का कुछ नहीं था, लेकिन कुछ था, वो था कचहरियों की जजमेंट्स, जस्टिस कृष्णा अय्यर की जजमेंट्स, वो था। कानून नहीं था, डायरेक्शन नहीं थी, लेटेस्ट मैनुअल नहीं था, लेकिन जजमेंट्स ऑफ द कोर्ट्स थी। बजट भी नहीं, बजट सिर्फ रोटी के लिए था, उसकी भी चोरी होती थी।
उस दाल रोटी की भी चोरी होती थी, चाय की पत्ती में भी मिलावट होती थी, दाल में भी कंकर होते थे, दाल में पानी की मिलती थी, मेडिसिन भी झूठी मिलती थी, डॉक्टर भी नहीं मिलता। तो इसलिए मैं ये कह रही हूँ कि तब ये राइट्स रिटन नहीं थे, तब कन्वेंशन थी, मुझे नहीं याद इस वक्त ह्यूमैनिटी कन्वेंशन थी कि नहीं, मुझे इस वक्त याद नहीं होता है, लेकिन जजमेंट तो थी, लेकिन जजमेंट को पढ़ता कौन था? ट्रेनिंग थी नहीं, ट्रेनिंग नहीं थी, किसी ने नहीं पढ़ी ना सही, पढ़ी ना सही। ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट का था लॉ ऑफिसर, ये पढ़ता था, ये जानता था, लेकिन इससे सुनता कौन था? ये अकेला काम करता था। तो मैं आपको ये बता रही हूँ साथियों कि हम प्रिजनर्स के राइट्स कानून से समझ जाए जितना मर्जी, लेकिन जब हम अपनी जिम्मेदारी नहीं समझेंगे ना, राइट्स नहीं मिलेंगे उनको। तो सबसे पहले we must और अपना क्वेश्चन है, हाँ हम समझते हैं कि हमको करना है, तो हमारे कैसे होंगे, कैसे होंगे ये जिम्मेदारी? हम क्या स्ट्रैटेजीज अडॉप्ट करें जिससे हम कामयाब हो सके, प्रिजनर्स को भी अधिकार मिले, हम भी अपनी जिम्मेदारी निभाएं। So I would say prisoners' rights and managers' responsibilities. Managers' responsibilities is prisoners' rights. When managers fulfill responsibilities, NGOs fulfill responsibilities, prisoners get their rights. But when we do not fulfill responsibilities, prisoners cannot get their rights. मान लीजिए एक सुपरिटेंडेंट ऑफ जेल है और वो एनजीओ को घुसने नहीं देता। एक एनजीओ जो योगा सिखा सकती है या एनजीओ पढ़ा सकती है, ये एनजीओ मेडिकल केयर दे सकती है, ये एनजीओ म्यूजिक दे सकती है, या एनजीओ आईटी ट्रेनिंग दे सकती है, और उनको घुसने नहीं देगा, तो किसका राइट जा रहा है? प्रिजनर का राइट। कौन जिम्मेदारी नहीं पा रहा है? एक प्रिजन का सुपरिटेंडेंट। अब उसको कौन सिखाएगा कि तू इनको भाई जाने दे, सिक्योरिटी क्लियर करके आइडेंटिटी कार्ड दे दे, इनको जाने दे, इनको क्यों रोकता है? हम धर्म परिवर्तन की बात नहीं कर रहे। अगर कोई फेस्टिवल मनाना है, हम मानवता का प्रचार करें। When we allow each celebration, Gurpurab, Christmas, Diwali, Buddha Jayanti, we are promoting communal harmony and communal understanding. We are not doing any conversion. There is common humanity message, which is the right of a prisoner, communal harmony, and it is the responsibility of the manager to promote these activities. Yoga, explain करना कि yoga is not Hindu, yoga is mind, body, soul development. कौन समझाएगा? तो मेरी रिक्वेस्ट ये है कि हम as managers अपनी जिम्मेदारी समझें कि उनके अधिकार हमारी जिम्मेदारी है और हमारी जिम्मेदारी उनके अधिकार और उनके it begins with us rather than with the prisoners. Prisoner तो गलती करके आया ही है, उसके खिलाफ अपनी शिकायत करते हैं, ये बड़े मुझसे साथ में है, ये करके आया है, ये लेट करके आया है, और इसीलिए तो जेल में ना। गलती किया तो जेल में आया ना, लेकिन हमारा काम है उसका ड्राई क्लीन करना, उसको जिम्मेदारी बनाना। वो भी अपनी जिम्मेदारी से भाग के आया है, वो भी जब क्राइम करता है तो वो अपनी जिम्मेदारी गलती करके आया है। बाप की जिम्मेदारी, माँ की जिम्मेदारी, एक नागरिक की जिम्मेदारी नहीं निभा के आया है, इसलिए तो आया। तो उसके खिलाफ शिकायत करने के बड़ा बच्चा है, वायरस करता है, झूठ बोलता है, नशा करता है, अरे ये इसीलिए तो आया है। उसके खिलाफ क्या करना, बल्कि उसको सुधारना अब हमारा काम। सो अब मैं 2-3 चीजें बोलूंगी कि हम कैसे करें, इनको कैसे हम लोग ये अपनी जिम्मेदारी को ठीक से निभाएं। सो मेरा पहला स्ट्रैटेजी ये है अपने एनजीओ के लिए, ऑफिशियल्स के लिए, लॉयर्स के लिए, आप लॉयर कम्युनिटी बैठे हैं, कि नंबर 1 पहले मैं ऑफिशियल्स के लिए बात करूं, ऑफिशियल्स के लिए बात करूं कि वो रोज प्रिजन को विजिट करें। जब तक वो प्रिजन को विजिट नहीं करेंगे रोज, ये दफ्तर का काम नहीं है, ये मेडिकल सुपरिटेंडेंट का काम है जो वार्ड में जाता है रोज। वो भी डॉक्टर है, वो डॉक्टर। सो मेरी रिक्वेस्ट ये है, पहला बात, अगर आप मेरी किताब देखेंगे और इट्स ऑलवेज पॉसिबल, उसमें हमने लिखा है क्या हमने किया। पहला काम है ऑन द ग्राउंड, रोज निकलना, रोज वॉक करना, रोज जाना, चाहे आपका बड़ा स्टेज है या छोटा है, रोज जाओ किसी ना किसी जेल में, टूर में रहो, अपना हेड ऑफिस साथ में लेके जाओ। जाना किसी हेडक्वार्टर में से एक बार हफ्ते में बैठो, बाकी दिन घूमो, अरे घूमो, सैर करो, सैर करो, ग्राउंड में जाओ, ऑन द ग्राउंड पे जाओ और रोज देखो मेरे प्रिजन में क्या हो रहा। जब आप रोज देखेंगे कोई खांसी रिपोर्ट मानने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, आप ही देख रहे हैं, आप ही सुन रहे हैं, आप ही महसूस कर रहे हैं, आप ही स्मेल कर रहे हैं, आप ही टच कर रहे हैं, सारे 5 सेंसेस को आप यूज कर रहे हैं। सो पहली बात ये, डीजी हो या सुपरिटेंडेंट या डीएस, पहले सुबह राउंड लोग नहाए, मेडिकल मिला, खाना खाया, कपड़े हैं पहनने के लिए, नशा तो नहीं किया रात को, बीमार है क्या, टीबी है, अनपढ़ है, सब जानो। अनपढ़ है तो क्लास में भेजो, टीबी है तो उसको इलाज के लिए देखो, नशा करता है तो इंजेक्शन सेंटर में भेजो, बीमार है हॉस्पिटल भेजो, अच्छा है पढ़ा लिखा है तो पढ़ने में लगाओ, टीचर बनाओ। ऑन द ग्राउंड पे जाओगे तो पता चलेगा कि हमारा स्थिति क्या है। सो ऑन द ग्राउंड हमारा पहला का काम है, ये हमारी ड्यूटी है और प्रिजनर का राइट है अपने ऑफिसर को देखना कैसा लगता है, कैसी बात करता है, कैसे सोचता है, क्या अब उसकी विजन है, क्या सुनता है कि नहीं सुनता। सो ऑन द ग्राउंड हमारा पहला कर्तव्य है, इसमें सब कुछ आ जाता है। अब सवाल उठता है कि ऑन द ग्राउंड के बाद कई लोग नहीं बोलेंगे, आपको मुंह में नहीं बताएंगे कि यहाँ दालबंदी थी, बेटा क्या मुझे मारता है या गाली करता है या ये सोना लगा रहा है। तो फिर हमारा दूसरा काम था बिहार में जो हमने किया था, वो था पिटीशन बॉक्स। सुनील याद है?
जी याद है, याद है, याद है।
पिटीशन बॉक्स एक छोटा सा बॉक्स, उसमें ताला लगा था, चाबी सिर्फ मेरे पास थी, सुनील के पास भी नहीं थी।
आपके पास थी।
तो वो घुमाते थे, वो प्रिजनर जो मुंह पे बात नहीं कर सकता पिटीशन में डालता था। और रात को शाम को अक्सर जाने से पहले एज आईजी प्रिजन एक पिटीशन ऑफिसर था, ताला खोलते थे, रोज पिटीशन देखते थे, कोई जो भी इश्यू आता था अगर अर्जेंट है तो जाने से पहले इसको अटेंड कराते थे और अगर अर्जेंट नहीं है तो सुबह काउंटडाउन पे ले लेते थे। अच्छा, उसको पता चल गया जिसने लिखा कि मैडम ने पढ़ लिया और देखो मैडम आ गई, किस क्लास में आए, हिसाब लेने, कभी डॉक्टर के पास जा रहे हैं और जो भी बहुत चीजें करते थे। अगर आपको उसके बारे में जानना है और तो आप सुनील को बोलना पिटीशन बॉक्स के बारे में बताएं।
ठीक है, मैं बताऊंगा।
बहुत बढ़िया एक हथियार है हर प्रिजन में होना, जिसमें प्रिजनर अपनी कॉन्फिडेंशियल बात पिटिशन बॉक्स में दे सकता है और ऑफिसर्स ने और वो सुपरिटेंडेंट भी चलाते थे तब सुपरिटेंडेंट का पिटिशन बॉक्स चलाते और जानने के लिए कि क्या हो रहा है। साथियों इसके बिना प्रिजन सुधार राइट्स नहीं हो सकते। You have to give a voice to a prisoner to write in confidence. Confidentiality is also a right of a prisoner, but it is also the responsibility of the officer to facilitate confidentiality, and that was the petition box. Third, हमारे पास स्टाफ कम है, हर चीज में नजर लगानी जरूरी है। हर आदमी घटिया नहीं है, हर एक आदमी में कुछ ना कुछ हुनर है, उसका हुनर निकालना हमारा काम है। हम प्रेजेंट में हर आदमी में क्राइम में ढूंढते थे, उसका हुनर ढूंढते थे। कितना पढ़ा, क्या जानता है, गाता है, पढ़ा लिखा है, म्यूजिक करता है, क्या करता है, पेंटिंग करता है, बहुत अलर्ट रहने वाला आदमी है, बट हम उसकी पंचायतें लगाते थे, उनको पंचायतों में बनाते, जिसको कहते थे मेकिंग अ कम्युनिटी इनसाइड एंड इंस्टिलिंग सेंस ऑफ रिस्पांसिबिलिटी इनसाइड। और हर डिप्टी सुपरिटेंडेंट अपनी पंचायत, एजुकेशन पंचायत, फूड पंचायत, क्लीनलीनेस पंचायत, फेस्टिवल पंचायत, इवन लीगल एड पंचायत, हम लोग लीगल एड पंचायत में लगाते, जिसने पिटीशन लगानी है तो लगा। उसमें जो वकील अंदर आए थे ना, जो वकील अंदर पे आए, वो वकील तो हम लोग लीगल पंचायत बनाते, वो पिटीशन लिखते और अंदर से पिटीशन कचहरी को जाते और उसमें हमारा लॉयर हेल्प करता। और मैं आपको बता दूं, अगर 100 पिटीशन गई अंदर से 7% ऊपर गई, क्योंकि वो सच हकीकत होना बहुत कुछ था, उसमें झूठ नहीं मिलते, जो हकीकत नहीं मिलते, क्षमा की मांग, रिलीफ की मांग, तो उससे हमें बहुत रिलीफ मिली। मैं आपको 2-3 आइडिया दे रही, सारे नहीं दूंगी, बाकी अगर आप चाहें तो किताब से देखें, ये हिंदी में भी है और इंग्लिश में भी है और लैंग्वेजेस में भी चाहिए। पढ़ाई सबके लिए थी, ये अलग से हमें भी मालूम है ये राइट है, हम समझते थे ये जरूरत है, आप जो भी करते थे उसकी जरूरत के अनुसार करते, तो राइट जरूरत होती है। सो बहुत कुछ आपके पास है और चीजें, मैं ये नहीं कहती कॉर्पोरेट मेडिकल केयर है, फेस्टिवल मैनेजमेंट है, राइट्स टू फैमिली है, राइट्स टू बी हर्ड है, सब कुछ है, राइट टू फर्स्ट पास ट्रायल है, ये राइट्स है, चिल्ड्रन केयर है, वुमेन स्किल डेवलपमेंट है, these are rights, but these are जरूरत, these are essentials of any town management। प्रिजन का टाउनशिप है, प्रिजन का शहर है और उसमें आप म्युनिसिपल कमिश्नर है, जो सुपरिटेंडेंट है वो एक म्युनिसिपल कमिश्नर है उस टाउन का। किसी का टाउन 10,000 है, 12,000 है, 15,000 है और किसी का टाउन 200 है, 400 है, 1,000 है, लेकिन है वो शहर, चाहे वो गाँव है चाहे वो शहर है, लेकिन है सबका एक बंधा हुआ शहर जिसमें बहुत सारी दीवारें हैं और अंदर शहर बसा है और शहर में सब कुछ है, छोटा हो या बड़ा, स्कूल भी चाहिए, मेडिकल भी चाहिए, सिक्योरिटी भी चाहिए, सुनवाई भी चाहिए, खाना भी चाहिए, पानी भी चाहिए, समय का सदुपयोग भी चाहिए, भक्ति भी चाहिए, योगा भी चाहिए, प्रवचन भी चाहिए, स्पिरिचुअलिटी भी चाहिए और सब कुछ तो यूजलेस है। तो ये अब निकल गया लॉयर के लिए ही निकल गया। तो जब आप एक राइट को बात करते हैं लॉयर, मैं कहती हूँ क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ इज अ राइट, उसकी सारी क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ इज अ राइट, प्रेजेंट का माहौल इज अ राइट। एंड जब तक हर एक को उसका माहौल नहीं मिलेगा, अगर तनाव रहेगा, पीस Peaceful prison is a right. Clean prison is a right. Reform is a right. Education is a right. Child's medical care is a right. Skill development is a right. ताकि वो अपने समय का सदुपयोग करें, is a right. So आप दिक्कत क्या है? लेकिन ये तो अपनी common sense है. Every law is also common sense. तो अगर जब हम अपनी common sense आत्मिक आवाज को सुनते हैं, तो उसके प्रिजनर को उसके माहौल मिलता है. आप उसको राइट्स बोलते हैं, मैं उसको माहौल कहती हूँ. उसको एनवायरनमेंट मिलता है, ग्रोथ, एनवायरनमेंटल डेवलपमेंट. और वो जाकर दोबारा जब जाता है, तो वो दोबारा वापस नहीं आता. वो सुधर के जाता है, समझदार होके जाता है. लेकिन जब आप उसको माहौल नहीं देते हैं, तो वो बिगड़ के जाता है, मारने जाता है, काटने जाता है, चोरी करने जाता है, गुस्से में जाता है, बदलाव की भावना में जाता है. हमें ऐसा माहौल क्रिएट करना है जो कि हमारा राइट है, हमारा राइट है. ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी है कि हम उसको माहौल, एक एनवायरनमेंट ऑफ ग्रोथ उसको दें, और उस एनवायरनमेंट ऑफ ग्रोथ में इज इज राइट. सो आई एम ग्रेटफुल आपने मुझे ये मौका दिया आपके साथ बात करने को, और मैंने आपको प्लेन लैंग्वेज में प्रैक्टिकल केस स्टडी में, जिसके बारे में आपने कुछ सुना होगा, लेकिन और क्लैरिफिकेशन अगर आपको चाहिए हो, किस तरीके से एक एनजीओ बन के इंडिया विजन फाउंडेशन आप काम कर रही है, बीपीआरडी की मदद से ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स कर रही है, बहुत सारे एनजीओ और कॉर्पोरेट्स को लेके प्रोग्राम्स ला रही है. सो ये एक पार्टनरशिप, उसमें एक्सपर्ट्स भी इन्वॉल्व है, और उसमें गवर्नमेंट भी इन्वॉल्व है, गवर्नमेंट इंडिया भी, स्टेट भी, हरियाणा भी, यूपी भी, जहाँ जहाँ हम काम करते हैं वो सब इन्वॉल्व है. हम उनका धन्यवाद करते हैं. उन्होंने हमारे जो काम मैं एज आईटी प्रेजेंट कर रही थी विद एनजीओ, अब मैं एज एनजीओ विद गवर्नमेंट कर रही हूँ. पहले हम गवर्नमेंट विद एनजीओ करते थे, अब हम एनजीओ विद गवर्नमेंट करते हैं. तो काम हुई. हमारा मकसद ये है कि हम लोग मिलकर काम करें. सो कोलैबोरेशन, मैं आपको फाइनली ये कह रही थी, प्रिजन मैनेजमेंट इंडिया में आसान है कंपेयर टू द वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड. वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड में बहुत वायलेंस है, वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड में वो रिस्पेक्ट फॉर अथॉरिटी नहीं है. हमारे यहाँ आप छोटा सा कुछ करते हैं, 4 पानी आपको पहुंचते हैं, इतनी कदर करते हैं, आपकी भावना की वो कदर करते हैं, आपको पूछते हैं. आप सोचते हैं आप फरिश्ता है, काम आपने अपनी जिम्मेदारी ही किया, लेकिन आपको फरिश्ता बनाते हैं, इतना आपको इज्जत मान देते हैं. सो जो भी चाहता है, अगर वो ऐसे मिल के काम करेंगे, तो एक असेंबली लाइन ऑफ रिफॉर्म बनती है. ऐसे हमने असेंबली लाइन बनाई थी बिहार में, और यही असेंबली लाइन अब इंडिया विजन फाउंडेशन करती है मिलके. सो मुझे बड़ी खुशी है आपने मुझे मौका दिया अपना दिल की बात करने का. मन की नहीं, दिल की. ये मेरी दिल की बात है, एक्सपीरियंस की बात है, जो हमने सीखी है गलतियां कर करके, समय खवा. लेकिन समझदारी ये थी कि हमने गलती करनी थी तो सीख गया, गलती दोबारा नहीं. और अगर हमने सीखा तो समय उसके बाद बर्बाद नहीं किया, तुरंत करा, ताकि हम समय ना बर्बाद करें, क्योंकि प्रिजनर का समय कम होता है, हर एक हमेशा के लिए नहीं रहता. So I will thank you, Sunil. I want to thank the BPRD, the Jindal University, Vice Chancellor of the Global University. मुझे मौका नहीं मिला, आपके बारे में बहुत सुना है. आप बहुत बढ़िया यूनिवर्सिटी है, रोज आता है, एडवर्टाइजमेंट आता है, इतना ब्यूटीफुल एडवर्टाइजमेंट आता है कि आप बहुत सुपर यूनिवर्सिटी. काश करें समय मिलेगा तो हम आपके बीच में दोबारा आएंगे, अपनी ये जिम्मेवारी पॉन्डिचेरी की निभा के, क्योंकि पॉन्डिचेरी जब जिम्मेवारी खत्म होगी तो मैं घर लौटूंगी, फिर मैं फ्री सिटीजन करके से घूमूंगी, फिर आपके पास जाऊंगी. आपका धन्यवाद.
Thank you, ma'am, for the inspiring address, and Honorable Chair agreed to take a few questions, and
I request all of you to keep the question brief, speak slowly and close to the microphone, and we'll have questions. First, okay.
मैम, जैसे आपने कहा कि एनजीओस की जिम्मेदारी है कि वो प्रेजेंस के लिए लीगल एड के लिए काम करें, तो जैसा
Keep mic close to you.
हेलो,
You said by structure, the name of the city.
जैसे आपने कहा कि सभी एनजीओस की जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि वो लीगल एड के लिए काम करें, लेकिन कुछ टेक्निकल डिफिकल्टीज आती हैं, जैसे कि हमें एम्पैनलमेंट की जरूरत पड़ती है लीगल एड सेल के साथ। तो क्या कुछ ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि कुछ एनजीओस प्रो बोनो वर्क करना चाहती हैं और वो लोग लीगल सहायता करना चाहते हैं, उनके लिए कोई ऐसा रूल आए कि वो लोग बिना लीगल एड में एम्पैनल हुए अपनी सेवाएं प्रदान कर सकें? बिना लीगल एड पैनल से जुड़े अगर कुछ एनजीओस हैं जो काम करना चाहती हैं, उनके सामने ये परेशानी आती है कि उन्हें पैनल पर जुड़ना पड़ता है कि आप लीगल एड पैनल पर जो पैनल होते हैं आपको उनसे एनरोलमेंट कराना पड़ता है, लेकिन फिर उसमें बहुत डिफिकल्टीज आती हैं, फॉर्मेलिटीज और टेक्निकलिटीज हो जाती हैं। तो कोई ऐसा सिस्टम नहीं होना चाहिए कि एनजीओस डायरेक्टली अगर अपना एक एप्लीकेशन दे और उनकी सेवा अगर वो एलिजिबल हैं उनको अलाउ करना चाहिए?
पैनल एक सेफ्टी बॉल है, पैनल एक सेफ्टी बॉल है, एक डिले बॉल नहीं है, एक क्लोज बॉल नहीं है, इट्स अ सेफ्टी बॉल, and I think that safety is a very important criteria in the end of the day. But the panel doesn't mean that it's status quo, it's dynamic, and that's in the hands of the government.
मैडम, आपको सदर प्रणाम कि आपने इस प्रोग्राम में हमें बहुत कुछ ज्ञान करवाया।
अपना नाम भी बता दो। नाम बता दो।
मैं मुकेश जैन एडवोकेट झालावाड़ से हूँ। मैं अभी अध्यक्ष बार यूनियन का। मुझे बहुत खुशी है मैडम कि आपने जो यदि जो बहुत बड़े क्रिमिनल्स थे उनमें हुनर तलाश करने की बात करी। जिनमें हुनर है वो अपना हुनर जेल के अंदर दिखाए। कोई बाहर सब्जी का कार्य करता था तो उसने अपनी खेती का कार्य भी किया। दूसरा जो टेलरिंग का काम करता था, कोई पेंटिंग का काम करता था। मेरा ये कहना है कि उनकी कला को आपने उभार करके उससे जो है आमदनी हुई या उसको उसकी पेंटिंग को किसी देश में या हमारा देश में विदेश में भेजा, उससे होने वाली आय से क्या मैडम उसके परिवार बच्चों और माता पिता को दिया जाता है क्या? ये मेरा आपसे क्वेश्चन है।
तो आपका क्वेश्चन क्या है?
मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जिसमें हुनर है और पेंटिंग अगर करता है या टेलरिंग करता है, उसकी हुनर से जो आय होती है क्या उसके माता पिता बच्चों और पत्नी को दिया जाता है क्या होने वाली आय? जो पैसा उसकी आय से आता है खेती की आमदनी से, उसका पैसा। हेलो, मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है मैडम कि किसी खेती में हुनर है और उस हुनर से जो आय होती है पेंटिंग आमदनी, उस आमदनी को उसके परिवार में भेजा जाता है या जेल में रखा जाता है?
जाना चाहिए।
ये मेरा
बिल्कुल जाना चाहिए। इसकी कमाई है, उसका कुछ पैसा बेहतर फंड में जाए और बाकी पैसा उसकी फैमिली में जाए।
जी मैडम, यही मेरा क्वेश्चन था कि थैंक यू।
जाना चाहिए। ये जा रहा है, आपको पता है मेरे जेल में कईयों का तो वो टैक्स पे कर रहे हैं। उनकी इतनी कमाई है कि फैमिली को ही नहीं भेज रहे, वो गवर्नमेंट को टैक्स भी पे कर रहे हैं।
नमस्कार मैडम, मेरा नाम सुमनलता सिवाज फतेहाबाद से हूँ मैं और एडवोकेट हूँ और समाज सेवी भी हूँ। और क्रिया संस्था में आज से 18 साल पहले मैं आपसे मिल चुकी हूँ क्रिया संस्था के द्वारा, और आज मैं एक एडवोकेट के रूप में यहाँ पर आई हूँ। मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है, जैसे अभी सर ने बताया कि जो आमदनी होती है उनकी, तो वो यहाँ के जेलों में बहुत ही कम होती है। एक तो आमदनी उनकी बढ़ाई जानी चाहिए ताकि उनके जो परिवार हैं उनको सही उनका पालन पोषण हो सके। दूसरा मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है, कई बार कई कैदियों को झूठा फंसा दिया जाता है और वो अपनी जो गिनती है वो सारी एक एप्लीकेशन में लिख के सेशन जज को भी देते हैं, लेकिन उनकी कोई सुनवाई नहीं होती। तो उसके लिए विशेष रूप से किया जाए। ठीक है, हम उसको भोजन दे रहे हैं, अच्छा स्किल दे रहे हैं, सब कुछ दे रहे हैं, लेकिन उनकी हार्ट में जो ये चोट पहुंचती है कि जो हमें किया ही नहीं, हमारे को झूठा फंसाया गया है, तो उसके लिए कैसे करें। मैं आपको बताती हूँ, अभी जेल विजिट में मैं गई, असम की लड़की थी, उसने हरियाणा में शादी की, तो हरियाणा वालों ने कुछ इस प्रकार से उसके हस्बैंड ने सुसाइड कर दिया किसी कारण से, लेकिन उस लेडीज को जेल में डाल दिया कि तूने इसके साथ शादी की थी और तेरी वजह से ये मरा है, और उन पर झूठा केस है। वो अपना लिखना देना चाहती है कि मेरे साथ गलत हुआ, वो क्या करें। दूसरा वो कहती है मैं यहाँ से मेरे को कोई जमानत नहीं करवाता क्योंकि मैं बाहर थी, तो उसके लिए क्या करें। तीसरा जो महिला है उसको एकदम घर से निकली, उसका आधार कार्ड और उसका एटीएम सब वही रह गया, वो भी प्रोवाइड नहीं किया जाता, तो उसके लिए क्या करें। चौथा जो महिला जेल में है, असम से है, बाहर निकलेगी तो अब कहाँ जाए, जेल से यहाँ नारी निकेतन में भेज देंगे, लेकिन उसके लिए क्या कहाँ जाए। ऐसे सोल्यूशन भी करेंगे तो आपका जो न्याय दिलवा रहा है ये और अच्छी तरह से महिलाओं को मिलेगा और वो महिलाएं आत्मनिर्भर बनेंगी।
मेरा यही है, मैं थोड़ी बात बोली कि जब अफसर अपनी जिम्मेदारी सही निभाएंगे तो प्रिजनर को अधिकार मिलेंगे, चाहे वो पुलिस हो चाहे किसी और से। पुलिस का काम है सच्चाई की जेल करना, ना कि झूठे बात। लेकिन प्रिजन में अगर पता चल गया कि ये झूठा है, ये इसके साथ अन्याय हुआ है, तो वो जो लोक अदालत है ना आपके अंदर की लीगल पंचायत, वो लगाए नोटिस। तो ये है, इससे काम आपको न्याय मिलने लग जाएगा। Can I have the last question? So can I go with the
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Nirmala. I don't know आपने जानोगे या नहीं, लेकिन I was a part of India Vision Foundation और जेल का रास्ता आपने दिखाया था मेरे को 19 में तब से जुड़ी हूँ।
Sir, I'm
Nirmala.
Yes, I know.
Yes, good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, you know I've read all your books. My very simple question, otherwise I will just bother you. बिहार में जो बीज आपने बोया, कितने रिफॉर्म शुरू किए, काफी हद तक काफी स्केल पे आप लेके आए, वो आज भी बढ़ रहा है। बट जो बाकी और बहुत सी जेल्स हैं इंडिया में, वो बहुत पीछे है। कल हमने पुलिस सॉर्टी को सुना तो पता चला कि कैसे कैसे हालात है बाकी जेल्स में। यहाँ दिल्ली में बैठे, हाउ कैन वी रीच आउट टू अदर जेल्स एंड वी कैन स्टार्ट समथिंग जिस लाइन पे आपने हमको दिशा दिया, हमारा मार्गदर्शन किया, यहाँ बाकी जेल्स में या दिल्ली से बैठ के कुछ कर सकते हैं?
क्यों नहीं, आपके पास शायद प्रॉपर डीजी पे आएंगी और बहुत सारे ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स को सपोर्ट करती रही है। और आपको शायद बताएं शी इज अ स्पीकर और वो आपको बताएगी इसका नेम इज पीरा गोवारकर। शी विल टेल यू किस तरीके से ब्यूरो ऑफ रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट and in collaboration with others, they have been doing policies and they have been promoting training programs in other prisons. Haryana prison is one of the biggest beneficiaries of BPRD training policies. Even UP prison where India Vision Foundation works. What I am saying is that government of India say Bureau of Research and Development and even the Ministry of Women and Child are now spreading right kind of policies to other prisons to follow this. And that is exactly what this university today is doing for your OP Jindal, to bring you all together to say this is the policy. Now the onus is on the administrators to fulfill it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. Always you have helped everyone, and especially to me. On behalf of HRLN, I thank you very much. God bless you. And you have to do this in your channel. Happy wishes. Thank you.
आप इंग्लिश से बोल रहे हैं?
ऑल ओवर इंडिया से लोग आएंगे हैं, तो आगे सभी को ये समझ आ जाए, इसलिए मैं बोलेंगे।
Sorry if I could not teach, but I read this entire Hindi of this, and knowing what is also, so why not speak in my mother tongue?
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Again, thank you.
Also, we want to thank you profusely. We have a traditional star. We will give you this Monica with a request to pass it on to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and all of you